It's the longest road trip in the competition, and it could have hardly come at a worse time for West Coast. Welcome to the Gabba in Brisbane. My name is Quentin Hull. You're about to hear the Brisbane Lions at home to the West Coast Eagles. In colloquial terms, almost top v bottom among the better and worse teams in the competition going around at the moment, facing off here on a day in Brisbane which has seen plenty of persistent rain. It's been a drizzly kind of week around these parts, but as the two teams warm up, there's no rain as we speak, which is good news, and no further changes to the teams which were named yesterday, delayed by 24 hours because of further COVID complications for the Eagles. What an injury list they have. And to think that some players went out to a nightclub, copped the ire of their coach, who's not here tonight, Adam Simpson, absent. Matthew Knights returns to senior coaching tonight, of course, the former Essendon coach, an Essendon team which has 4 players out with COVID protocols this week, another 4 injured, to a massive injury list. And they will welcome their 43rd player to represent the club this season in Jake Florenka to the competition tonight. The South Fremantle midfielder helping to prop up this West Coast team, which has only had the one win this season, the shock victory over Collingwood in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. And he compares that to the Brisbane Lions. Well, they've only lost once. That was down at Geelong, where they were beaten at Cardinia Park by the Cats, who have just got past the Giants, by the way, by 53 points. And last start ticked off a victory that had been a few years in the making. They hadn't beaten the Swans at the SCG for quite some time, but were able to do so last start by 24 points, albeit at the cost of key forward Joe Danaher. He's out. It'll be interesting to see how the Lions line up without their star full forward. But Jack Payne comes back into the team. Key defender, Ryan Lester, the long-term defender, is going to play his first game of the season. So it'll be interesting to see just how the Lions match up with key forward Eric Hipwood, still yet to return from a knee injury. Michael Price is going to be joining me with the blow-by-blow descriptions. Former Port Adelaide player and coach Matthew Primus, along with former Brownlow medalist and 3-time premiership player Jason Ackermanis, are your experts. Zane Bojack is down on the boundary. And Pricey, what an intriguing conversation there has been around this game leading into it. We're about to find out. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Q. And I know what you're alluding to. I'll just say that Dane Zorko has won the toss, and the Brisbane Lions will be kicking to the right of your radio dial as we're looking at it. It will be interesting to see how the Brisbane Lions line up. And you go ahead and spill the beans on that, because I think they're taking the mickey just a little.
Well, they've named Harris Andrews at full forward. It's among the minor parts of the conversation which we will observe and get to. Matty Primus, Jason Ackermanis, it's nice to have you on board. I must admit, the talk around footy is not who, but how far tonight. Is that fair enough? Is this a lambs to the slaughter night of the haves and have-nots of the 2022 season?
Based on what I've seen of Brisbane so far this year and how I saw West Coast play the last 2 weeks, where more their spirit's gone. You know, fair enough, there's a lot of different plays, but their spirit's just gone out the window. 80, 90-point loss against Port, 110 against Richmond at home, and then the longest trip, as you said, across the country. So I'm more interested to see how their spirit is, and I'm interested to see if Brisbane can keep that beautiful form going.
Great to see you, Acco. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, good evening, Q, and happy birthday to you, Pricey, on your 81st birthday. This could be an 81-point victory. It's just simple. They've still got the talent there, West Coast. I just hope they come and actually play the game as it should be played.
We'll keep you across the Essendon Hawthorn game as well. Major drama there. 5 late changes for the Bombers, but we're underway here.
McInerney get it down to Zorko, straight to Jared Lyons for the first clearance. It comes and hits the chest of Jack Payne, who started down forward. The big fella kicks it long inside 50, looking for Darcy Fort. Off hands, it's hacked out of there by West Coast. It's going to come to halfback for Brisbane, and Payne put his big chest in the way again. He's taken the mark on the point of the centre square at left half forward. Kicks into the pocket, ill-directed and cut off. Nice mark taken by the veteran in Shannon Hearn.
News flash, despite being named at full forward, Harris Andrews is at full back. Shannon Hearn in the right back pocket for West Coast. Kicks to the flank, over the top of the head of Darling. It bounces and rolls out of play, not far away from Zane Bojack. How are the conditions, Zano?
Yeah, it's a nice night, Q. Let's hope the rain stays away. It is a little bit slippery underfoot. They were struggling a little bit in their warm-up, but yeah, saw Harris run straight to Josh Kennedy. I thought, nice one, Fags. Good build-up for this match.
There's a line about respect and, the way that information from clubs is coming out, which we'll get to later in the game if it gets really boring. But we're at the start of it, and there's a tackle on the outer side of no clearance from the southern wing. This is from a coach who neglected to advise that Darcy Gardner's out with COVID protocols, which is one of the other major changes. McInerney on the wing, kicks towards half forward for Brisbane, through the pack, roved out the back by Rayner. On the left-footed dribbler is a wonderful start for Brisbane. He looks like a young man who is starting to find his form after a season off and a couple of months of senior footy back in. Rayner with the first after 90 seconds.
Interesting, Q. I called Brisbane Sydney last week, and Zorko back on ball, where the first 5 or 6 games he'd been a lot off half back, hadn't he? And he was certainly pretty impressive last week on ball, giving an injection of speed, and he started well so far tonight.
It's just a little bit of rain falling now. You can see outside their commentary here. That'll make it even more interesting. I think that McInerney just getting the ball and just throwing it on the slipper, and luck's a fortune. But Rayner is looking better each week, obviously getting onto the loose ball there and chucking on the left slipper, and then that's a nice goal. If you had him for the first goal kicker, some good odds there, Big Mattress.
He did.
And Zane's starting to take a position where the radio equipment won't get wet by the rain coming down.
Yeah, I've already gone back behind the benches, boys. They can't get me here.
I hope you've got a poncho there, Zano. Well done, as Andrew Gaff has the ball for the Eagles with the boots just behind the centre square, centre circles. He comes out to the commentary wing. Petrevski-Seaton and the former Blue chips forward about 20 metres to find Rotham. He plays on. West onto the left foot. It's a bit of a mongrel, but it's still effective. Inside forward 50. Bouncing freely with a pack of players. Ryan slaps it towards Josh Kennedy. He's monstered by a couple, including Ainsworth. The ball spills out and will be called a ball up 45 metres out. Just a slight angle to the left.
What about pink boots, boys? Well, I don't think I would have got away with pink boots.
You got away with most things, Jace.
Yellow boots.
Good work there from Edwards and Rucky. Pushed McInerney out of the way. Kick towards the pocket for West Coast. Gathered by Kennedy. It's hand pass backwards to Gaff. He's running backwards, but he's trying to link there with Jones, who's got it. Hands it back to Gaff, who's 60 from goal at right half forward. Now the kick forward to the pocket. Slippery ball goes through the fingers of Kennedy and unable to be kept in by Waterman. And it might be Waterman by name and nature by the end of the night, because the precipitation is coming down at the Gabba. Throw in right forward pocket for West Coast after Cam Rayner kicked the first for the Lions.
So it'll be big Oscar McInerney versus Harry Edwards. He's playing only his 17th game of footy. McInerney does well to bring it down to his own feet. Picked up by Redden. He's tackled off the ball now. Lockneal for Brisbane. Gets it back to Rich. Tumbles a punt outside defensive 50. Zorko did brilliantly. By foot, then by hand. He scrubs it towards the wing. Payne did well for a big fella to get down, pick it up, handball it to McCluggage, who tumbles it inside 50. Charlie Cameron gathers, and he's gathered himself by Shannon Hearn. Got a handball away, but he was doing the 360 at the time, and he's been pinged for illegal disposal. Tell us what you think, Jason Ackerman.
That is a handball every day of the week. I'm not sure what game the umpire's watching there. It is wet, by the way, but anyway.
More than anything else, I'm loving the fact that a 17-year fullback ran down the evading Charlie Cameron.
Oh, that was good. Good tackle.
The in and away, I think, was read before it was done by the veteran as the Eagles work it to the wing. Cripps trying to receive a pass from ex-line Redden, but couldn't take the mark, and the ball will be thrown in on the northern wing, should I say, in front of us here in the Vulture Street stands. With the rain just starting to come down, it was now getting a replay of that wonderful piece of defensive work. Shannon Hearn, how good, 34 years of age, 309th game tonight, and all over the elusive Cameron there. Throw in on the northern wing. Rode by Ainsworth of Brisbane. Kicks to half forward. Barris flies in the pack. Almost marked for West Coast. Couldn't. Picked up by Jared Lyons. Grubbing ball to the pocket for Brisbane. On the deck. Picked up by West Coast Foley. Puts it on his boot to clear defensive 50. It bounces out of play, and the umps having a look at each other, and they eventually have a committee decide to throw it in. Umpire number 42 was looking everywhere. He didn't want sole responsibility to make the call, but he decided throw in.
You call it. No, you call it. It was Chippendale stuff, actually. It was the
Is that
throw
deliberate?
in.
Just call it.
Across half forward for Brisbane. Jared Lyons, he's taken off the ball. Now it spills loose. Ainsworth at ground level. He's infringed upon his opponent there in the debutant Jake Florenko gets his first kick in AFL footy. Not a beauty. He kicked at 8 metres and it made it hard for his teammate. Got the ball back and got barrelled. Not a great 30 seconds. Now it's towed across half forward for Brisbane. It's a 1-on-2 for West Coast. The player did well in Jermaine Jones to get the ball away, but now he's got it back. He's in trouble. He's tackled there by McLuggage. He's holding the ball.
Why would you handball? Experienced player.
Umpire's taken an eternity there, Acker, as well.
Oh dear. McGovern, why would you handball?
McLuggage, spearing pass into Charlie Cameron, who had an acre of space to run into. 25 metres out, slight angle to the left.
We have got yellow boots, purple boots, and I'm pretty sure Charlie's got purple boots and pink boots together. That's how good the night's going so far. Very bright, making this dreary night very bright.
Everybody will be seen in these misty conditions. Charlie Cameron approaches from 40. Straight as a die to start with from Charlie. That's usually good for his confidence. 2 straight goals for the Lions. The Eagles yet to score. We've played nearly 7 minutes of the first quarter. Grandstand AFL. Michael Price and Quentin Hull with your experts, Matty Primus and Jason Ackermanis.
You can see earlier, we all know how West Coast like to play that kick mark, but they missed the first kick there that caused them into handballs, and tonight's not going to be the night to try and have precision kicking, and that's certainly going to bring the Eagles undone with Brisbane's pressure in their half.
Jeremy McGovern, one of the best in the game, decides the handball. He should know better, puts his teammate under the pump, gets done for holding the ball. But I think a guy of his skill set too, why wouldn't you just chuck it on? How about the song though, boys? I've tried to concentrate.
I know.
It's a great song.
That they play at the Reds, which we've made that point throughout. If you are not aware in the West what we're talking about, we're saying that Cameron's stolen that from across town. The Reds rugby union team have been playing it for years. Charlie's decided to roll it out this year.
Are you saying this?
Centre bounce, Jared Berry underneath it for Brisbane, no clearance.
Better than the last one though. Baby Shark. That was horrible.
2 straight to nothing. Lions in front. Scrimmage in the middle of the ground. Who's going to come away with it here? Kelly had it, couldn't pick it up. Redden does for West Coast. Tumbles a ball towards half forward for the Eagles. Coleman first to meet it for Brisbane, lost his footing. Under pressure from Cripps. He was 2 against him there, Jamie Cripps. Great effort to force a neutral. And that's the kind of effort you want to see from the senior West Coast players.
Exactly what big Matty Primus is talking about.
Umpire throws it up on the outer side. McInerney gets it onto his slipper, toes it forward. McLuggage infringed upon. No, he threw the ball out, says the umpire. And it was good pressure.
X-ray vision for that one. How do you see that?
It's come in from Jones now on the left foot. Long kick inside 50. Leading out was Ryan at the back. Harris Andrews named it full forward, playing fullback, funnily enough. Roving. Starcevic toes it forward. What a delightful pass to right half back, and he hits McStay,
who continues to show his value. Now McGovern, there's another one for you, Acker. He stepped over the mark or done the wrong thing and has given Dan McStay a march from half back to half forward with the 50-metre penalty. And McStay's going to play on immediately with his left boot and drive it deep. Looking for Rayner, gets to the front, can't mark. Rove by Jared Berry. Tight in the pocket, he's found some room. Hold on, there's a whistle. Free kick over that shoulder. Chop of the arms, take your pick. Rayner's going to line up for his second from 25 metres out.
Was Jeremy McGovern that actually infringed? Did he go over, or wasn't someone going, it's a terrible rule anyway, I know. But
I think he tried to crib back inside to cut off the angle, and after the ball stand, the
old habits.
The old habits die.
Remember what we used to get away with? You could run anywhere on that line.
Cam Rayner, influential in the win in Sydney last week. This for a second first-term goal for the former number 1 pick.
Oh.
He's flirted with the left point or behind post or major upright and has hit it. A point, a poster for Rayner. Brisbane 2-1-13. West Coast yet to score. 10 minutes played. Meanwhile, Hawthorn 3 behinds. Essendon yet to score. That game tracking at the same time as this.
Misty rain here at the Gabba on a Saturday night. Shannon Hearn plays on out of the square. That's a beautifully long kick towards the Stanley Street wing. Roved by Tim Kelly. Handball off over to Jones. He hits Petrevsky-Seaton on the chest. Now that's movement from the West Coast Eagles. Inside 50. The bouncing ball in favour of Ryan gathers and snaps. That is a beauty. Coast to coast from the West Coast Eagles. Good answer. 2-1-13 to 1 straight goal. 10.5 gone first term on Grandstand AFL.
We got out the back there, and I tell you what, they were out and running. Cripps could have got that. I know Ryan was flying. He did get the goal, and so he should. But just that little pass just came back in on the 45, you'll see here. And that particular, who's number 10?
That's Petrevsky-Seaton.
Oh, I should know that with the what's he got, pink boots? Fantastic little chip to him, and he just got it on and got it out the back, and I think that's the way they should play, a bit more aggressive, Matty.
Yeah, Kelly's kick to him was amazing, wasn't it? Because he had nothing ahead, beautiful vision to bring it inside, and then Ryan's speed got him cooked.
But look at that, that's all talent. Well, that's all their talent. I mean, they've got lots of talent on the park, but there's 3 or 4 of them.
Well, one of 9 premiership players out there is Liam Ryan. Zane Bojack on the boundary.
Yeah, Matty Knights love that one in the coach's box. I tell you what, there's some West Coast Eagles supporters here, despite the fact that they're undermanned, and they all love seeing Flying Ryan sticking them through the big sticks.
Connor West underneath the ball up in the middle. Got a clearance for West Coast out to the southern wing, but met by Pryor of Brisbane. Gets onto his left boot to kick the lines to half forward, and Hearn outmarks Archie in a one-on-one contest, and the veteran has made a good start. Taking the grab there, he chips it to Rotham. Still at right half back as Rotham takes an uncontested chest mark. West Coast in their predominantly yellow playing strip today with the blue trim and white shorts. Brisbane in their home maroon. Kick from Rotham down to wing onto a head of a pack and punched out of play for a boundary throw in. If you have just tuned in, that score from Manuka Oval, Geelong defeating Greater Western Sydney by 53 points. Cats won at 12-16-88 to the Giants 4-11-35. That after Richmond beat Collingwood by 27 and Gold Coast upset Sydney by 14 at the SCG today.
Lions by 7 points here at the Gabba. Throw in out of side. Big scramble. It's misty, rainy conditions here to start the game. We're 12.5 minutes in. Lions have scored a couple. The West Coast just got there first.
Wasn't that the original colour, West Coast number?
Yep.
It's gone back to the original.
Umpire throws it up on the outer side. Fort got it down. Now it's rowed by McCluggey. Kicks it to the top of the circle. Finds McStay. He doubles back. Looks for a lead in Cameron once again. Hearn gets in the way. Picked up by McGovern. Sweeping handball puts West under pressure. Now back to Hearn. He chips it forward and saving the day. Oh, there. Is that Isaiah Winder again?
It's Jones.
Oh, Jermaine Jones on the outer side.
From right half back, the ex-Cat long towards Darling, who's got a couple of beats. He brings it to ground level and battles on Jack Darling. Good job. There's Winder. He's dragged off the ball off a little hand pass. 50-50 out in the wing. Ford has a go for Brisbane. Mistimed his kick. Slippery ball slews infield and it's picked up by West Coast. Ryan hands it along the ground to Redden. Bit of space out the back to kick to half forward. Met by Kennedy, 60 out. He swings and kicks to a vacant forward line. Only Lions players there. Adams has time to drop it in the back pocket, regather, get in trouble, kick a mung down the corridor, which set a task of Starcevic. But luckily for Marcus Adams, Starcevic got a push in the back from Ryan, and the Lions, well, and obviously some lip as well.
50. That's a bad 50. That's their second for the night.
And no one's run along to take the mark, so Starcevic boots it inside 50, presenting at the Big Dukes of Pain. Couldn't mark under the spoil of McGovern. Gathered and tackled as soon as the ball came free. And the ump says ball up, as Dane Zorko was there to put the clamp on Jeremy McGovern.
Ripping tackle from the Brisbane skipper there. And Manly twice his size too. Big Jamison gets up for West Coast. Roving Zorko gets involved again. He's thrown off the ball loose, and it's Waterman who picks it up for the West Coast Eagles. That's a speculating kick into the middle of the ground. It was a good mark taken by Noah Answorth against Winder. He's just forward of the centre circles. He looks up inside 50. Barris flies at the front of the pack off his hands. It's roved by Payne. His kick smothered. McGovern at the top of the goal square. Dinky little kick finds Waterman under a fair bit of pressure. He goes long down the outer wing. A 2-on-1. It favours Harris Andrews, but he spilled the ball. Darling did well at ground level. Ryan, he's tackled. That's got to be close to holding the ball. It is.
Super tackle.
He was going absolutely nowhere, and the Brisbane Lions players getting a big hand up there from Ryan Lester. Once again, it's Answorth. He's as tough as nails, no Answorth. He'll receive the free kick on the logo out of side.
Brisbane 2-1-13, West Coast 1 straight. 15 minutes played in drizzly conditions at the Gabba as the Lions switch through Andrews at forward of centre half back to Adams, who's just inside the centre square defensive side thereof for Brisbane. Kicks wide to an unmarked Jared Berry. His brother Tom is the sub tonight. And Berry takes a moment to assess this next 4-8 forward. It's called to play on, so just kicks it to the top of the pack at half forward. McStay led, couldn't mark. Connor West kicks off the ground for West Coast. Back to the wing, but Adams for Brisbane read it well. Takes a diving mark on the logo. Kicks Brisbane back into attack. And Rayner leaps. Had two big pieces. Couldn't complete the mark. Roves at ground level. Jamison tackles him. Picked up by McGovern of West Coast. He's monstered. Had his pocket picked by McCarthy. He's tackled as well. And the ump's going to pay holding the ball on Lincoln. McCarthy didn't try and get rid of it. And the free kick, that's Florenka, the first gamer, earning himself a free kick with the tackle on Link McCarthy.
Here's the kick towards the Vulture Street wing. Oh, Darling was sort of shunted underneath the ball by Adams. Umpire said nothing. Ball falls behind those two. Picked up by Jared Berry. Handball back to Adams. Sells the big dummy. Kicks down to right half forward through the hands of McStay. Picked up by Jermaine Jones. He handballs it to a teammate who's absolutely monstered. Ball spills to Shannon Hearn. Comes out to Redden, and that's a nice little pass to find Jack Darling right in front of the grandstand commentary box. Just standing the mark there, Marcus Adams, taking in some deep breaths, heavily involved in the play in the last minute or so. Darling now, a long kick towards half forward. Ryan shunted out of it by Starcevic and Kennedy. But, well, he had the same problem with Harris Andrews. Harris Andrews did well. Got it to Berry. Now it's with Adams again on the wing.
Received from McCluggage. Runs to halfway. Runs out of room. Florenka providing the pressure. Hand pass back to Andrews. Poor kick. Only about 20 metres around the wing. That slips through the hands and picked up by Neil of Brisbane. Hand pass to Bailey. He gives to McCluggage. Waterman makes a tackle. Flung over his head. Up says play on. Jamison picks up for West Coast. Forward of left half back. Gives the hand pass to Hearn, who's had a great start. Hands it to Florenka. From South Fremantle, the top up player kicks to half forward on the head of Kennedy. Spoiled away by Fort. And out of play for a boundary throw in. 60 from West Coast's goal. At left half forward, the Eagles attacking the school end in this first term, which is 17 and a half minutes old, which sees Brisbane on the scoreboard leading by 7 points, 2-1-13 to 1 straight 6.
The throw in, Darcy Ford off his hands, beautifully roved front and centre. Connor West, it's a high ball punched away from Kennedy by Harris Andrews. Goes outside of defensive 50. Now it's free. Oh, good bustling work from Answorth again. Promotes it forward to almost the wing. Now the Coast have got the ball. Comes out now, Florenka got the handball away. It came off the feet. They were calling for a deliberate. Jermaine Jones chased the ball across the boundary line like his life depended on it.
To get there.
He ran harder to make
sure it wasn't deliberate.
Yeah, he did get the free kick.
He was convincing the umpire, that for sure.
Now, I must admit, we haven't seen West Coast in the flesh, but is Hearn playing higher? He's had a great first term. He's around half back more so than that deep defender, and he's really marshalling the troops. Here he is. He's almost that, we don't want the trouble to get that deep. And here he is again at half back, almost engaged here as Waterman picks up the footy from the rush kick forward from the lines. The Eagles have got it. Foley chips it towards Barris, who takes the grab sliding at left half back.
I think it's a better matchup for Hearn to be up onto those smaller, quicker players. It more suits him if it gets in the air. He's always got the advantage.
He's had 7 touches and has been very good in the first term. Barris kicks to the wing, that's poor. Straight to the chest of Coleman, who plays for Brisbane. Kitty kicks in field, marked by Zorko. Chips it 20 metres upfield, marked by Bailey. Just at the edge of the centre square, northern side. Forward of halfway, Bailey with a deep entry towards full forward. McStay the target, through the hands of the pack. Rotham copped high contact, going for the ground level ball, and will receive a free kick for West Coast in the last line of defence. Meanwhile at Docklands, 5 late changes for the Bombers, but they've kicked the first 3 goals there. Essendon 3 straight, 18 leading Hawthorn, 3 behinds.
At the Gabba, 2-1-13 the Lions. The Eagles 1 straight goal. The kick towards left half back for the Eagles is fisted over the line by Jack Darling. Over the boundary line, and Zane Bojak's down there.
Yeah, I've been watching Hearn a lot, and he seems to be zoning off both Rayner and Bailey, and you can understand why. Bailey was so damaging against the Suns about 2 weeks ago, so that's why they might have figured to put him on Bailey.
A throw in, but the clearance thrown out there by Redden. Petrevski-Seaton couldn't quite handle it. Then Berry picked it up for Brisbane. He lost it. Cripps, under enormous pressure, tumbles one into the centre square. Daniel Rich belted as he actually gets the ball away. It's a nice pass from Brendan Starcevic. Hits Kitty Coleman in the centre circles. He goes out wide to the outer wing. Good running from Jackson Pryor on the outer wing. Stanley Street side, and he's just been held up by the West Coast Eagles defence. He's a good long left foot kick though, puts it inside 50. Good mark taken either by McGovern in front or Rayner behind.
McGovern.
Yeah, man in front, isn't that the golden rule of AFL football?
And in wet conditions, that was some clamp from a guy who can take an intercept mark, Jeremy McGovern. He kicks it wide to the outer side and a pack. Target was Edwards, couldn't take the mark. Brisbane numbers at the full. Rich decides to hand pass 20 metres backwards to Andrews at left half back. Chip infield on the 45, juggled and marked by Answorth. He'll transfer to the northern wing. Edge of the centre square marked by Berry. 21 minutes in. This is creditable from West Coast so far. Brisbane 2-1. Eagles 1 straight. Inside 50 to 13 for Brisbane and 5 for West Coast. But Brisbane only the 3 scoring shots from them. As it's chipped now to Adams on the wing. He'll kick Brisbane to half forward. Wide to the flank. Big pack, knuckled off hands, seen out of play by Rotham. Boundary throw in on attacking 50 for Brisbane, Matt Price.
Yeah, they've started well, Q. They're around about even in contested possession clearances, which gives you a chance. They're getting a lot of numbers back, which is slowing Brisbane well down. So they're leaking a lot of inside 50s. They're struggling to get it down their end, but the scoreboard hasn't got away from it as it has the last 2 weeks.
Throw in across half forward for Brisbane. West Coast with the numbers. Florenka let it go at the bottom of the pack. Now West gets involved. He's tackled off it. The ball spills across the arc. Still in dispute. Kelly gets in there. Can't quite get away from the grasp of the Lions player who's laying all over the top of him in Hugh McCluggage, and it will be a ball up.
If I was Chris Fagan, I'd be pretty disappointed with the entries. They have been just too predictable.
As Darcy Fort pushes the ruckman out of the way, toes it forward now to the top of the square. McGovern gets rid of his opponent. Cameron Roving, back standing start to Hugh McCluggage, top of the square, floating it through for a goal. That was just a scramble. He didn't have much time to think about it, and that's probably good for Hugh McCluggage. 3-1-19 to 1 straight. The Lions by 13 points. 22 and a half gone first term.
Yeah, you're right, Acker. They have been bombing away, haven't they? Which has helped McGovern, Hearn, Barras, those kind of guys. And Brisbane have been the most efficient team going inside 50 this year. So it's interesting they've gone away from a little bit. Maybe it's just you get seduced with West Coast are leaking so many goals. Let's just get it in there and eventually the scoreboard will take care of itself. Right. They've got a pretty good back six, the Eagles. So
they do. And they usually have, Big Joey down there. He's down there. And that one there is just your beautiful crumbing and your skill at your feet, really. And that's what got that goal. But they can't keep doing that. No. I would say at quarter time, Fagan will be saying, boys, let's lower our eyes. Let's have some shots because we're going to get more. Let's not bomb it.
Jason Ackermanis and Matt Primus, your experts on Grandstand AFL. Centre bounce. McInerney, clear hand over the top of the ruck contest to palm down to Neil. Hands it back to his ruckman. McInerney breaks the congestion with a hand pass to Bailey. Runs the half forward. He'll go deep. Right foot, long and left. Just.
What about the handball from the big fella?
What's McStay doing running at him? His man dropped off, luckily, because he would have put pressure on that kick. But, geez, but great handball from the big fella.
Beautiful. 3-2-20, plays 1 straight 6 on the slight miss to the left from Zach Bailey.
Shannon Hearn plays on out of the goal square, kicks at the right back pocket to find Barras. Big Jack Payne standing the mark. Fluorescent orange boots as Barras kicks it long down the Stanley Street wing, floating back, taking a nice mark. Halamarchi in front of the Brisbane Lions bench, just holding up play, just looking for an option to present itself. Kicks to the pocket. McStay at the back of the packet, comes off hands. Rove, good tackling by Charlie Cameron. He's got his man. The ball stuck underneath, and it's going to be a ball up.
This is exactly what I was talking about. That bomb in, that's gone. You had Zorko short, who's a wonderful kick, could have broken it up. They need to change that.
Ball thrown up with Brisbane deep in attack. 4 taps down, but only to Foley of West Coast. Shrugged off his kick. Picked up by Florenka. Hand passes to the boundary line, but only to Lions of Brisbane. Hands it back outside 50 to Leicester, who calmly chips to Neil. And Lockie Neal marks 45 metres from goal. He's become really good at these long set shots. He's become really good at most things.
Not good news, McStay.
No, that's not looking good, is it, Acker? Just saw a vision of him on the screen. Dan McStay on the bench, banging the ground and holding his left ankle. So,
well, one forward last week, perhaps another tonight. Let's watch Lockie Neal from 48 metres out. Got the journey. Oh, no, right to the line, and it was going across the face, tapped back into the goal mouth. Gaff, hand passes backwards to Duggan. Clearing kick has gone straight back down the throat of a Brisbane player, and it's Jared Lyons marking and scratching the turf 40 metres out. It seems of little consequence at the moment. Big Joe last week. What about Dan McStay, Zane?
Oh, look, and they're still waiting for Hipwood to come back. They're starting to run shorter forwards. McStay's not looking good at all. He's really in a lot of pain down here. I think this could be a very serious ankle injury for the big forward.
Harris Andrews might end up at full forward after all. Here's Jared Lyons from 48 metres out. He's got the distance, but has kicked it left for another Brisbane behind. The Lions 3-3-21 to the Eagles 1 straight 6, 26 minutes first term. And now we're getting a replay, which I'm assuming, he's twisted his ankle. He's put his foot on Rotham's foot, trying to launch for a mark, and has severely twisted his left ankle.
Oh, there, that's a broken metatarsal.
That's how they happen, yes.
They
Standing
snap.
on someone else's foot, that's a cracker.
Oh dear. I don't want to say the worst for Dan McStay, but it doesn't look good on the vision. Anyway, the ball's over the boundary line in front of the grandstand commentary box, and we'll get a throw in. Here's Darcy Fort in front of Edwards. Fort gets it down. Rayner showing some power. Got the handball to Neil. Back to Rich, back to Neil, controlling it, going one way, then the other, weaving his magic. Handball back to Daniel Rich. A flower bag of a kick, but it went 50 metres. And Link McCarthy belts it over the boundary line. Will get a throw in just forward a centre wing. Jason Ackermanis?
I don't understand how that is not deliberate. It's one of the mysteries of the game, that rule. If you hit it out over on the full.
Yeah, spoil where you want to bang it away.
Yeah.
That's intent enough anyway. Redden underneath the boundary throw in. There's a whistle. Hold on. Which way is it going? I think it's West Coast's free kick anyway. It's going to be a free kick for Jack Redden, who was fourth in the best and fairest at West Coast last year, having twice finished top three here at Brisbane in his time. It's not his kick in the end. He gives it to West. So Connor West was the one that won the free kick. And he chips it short to Cripps. It takes the mark, still defensive. Oh, no, Gaff it is.
Gaff.
My apologies. Gaff, defensive side of the wing. Left foot kick towards half forward. Fort in a 2-on-2 did well to take a strong juggling mark. He chips it backwards, just the required 15 to Coleman on defensive 50. Chipping infield to Rich. Rich now wants to complete the switch on the left boot, and he does so. Add to Answorth. Marks at left half back. Plays on with a kick to Archie, who's got space on the wing. He played on, he was closed down. Ref says no, the ump says you're allowed to do that. And Archie goes backwards with a chip to Answorth. So just as they were fluent, they will now be stagnant from the wing, the Brisbane Lions, through Noah Answorth.
Answorth, tough nut, just short of centre wing out of side. Kicks it towards the 50-metre arc, and that's Barris. Nice mark. Good clunk in the wet conditions in front of Big Jack Payne, who's no slouch in the air himself.
What a head of hair, though.
That is a nice mop of thick, dark locks. Kick to the outer wing. Juggling effort from the big man in Callum Jamison. Took a good two-grabber. Coming in late. Just short of centre wing out of side. They're content to hold on to the ball late in this first quarter, the West Coast Eagles. Long kick towards right half forward. Darling got a hand to it. Roving Cripps from outside 50. He sprayed it wide. It hit the behind post 2/3 of the way up. It'll be a free kick to Brisbane in the left back pocket.
Meanwhile at Docklands, I said Essendon had 3 goals. That got overturned on review. And now Hawthorn's in front there. The Hawks 3-4-22, leading West Coast 2-1-13. Very short inbound from the Lions to a contest. Rich is luckily there to mop up a mess. His rushed kick, not great. Picked up by Naish of West Coast from 60. Kicks back to the goal mouth. It slides off the spoiling knuckle of Andrews and is gathered by Pryor. His kick smothered, though, by Gaff. And the ball out of play in the left forward pocket for West Coast, with a throw-in to take place.
That's when you got to kick it long, Q. And not kick it short here. Then down the other end, they're kicking it long when they could kick it short.
So 15 points to lead to Brisbane. Concern for Daniel McStay, more from Zane Bojack at quarter time, which is imminent. Throw in with the Eagles in attack. Redden applies a tackle on Neil. No escape there. And another ball up.
It happens to Brisbane in clumps, those injuries, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Towards the end of last year as well.
One of those teams, I think.
Boundary ball up. West there for the Eagles. No great purchase on his hacked kick towards the goal mouth. And Rich takes a mark. With time now to expire in this first quarter, which saw the rain come and Brisbane kicked the first 2, but a pretty creditable performance from an undermanned West Coast, guided by their 17-year games record holder Shannon Hearn, who had 9 touches in that term, among other things. Rayner, Cameron and McCluggage, the goal kickers for Brisbane. Ryan, the only major contributor for West Coast. Quarter time at the Gabba, it's Brisbane 3-3-21 to West Coast's 1 straight 6. Docklands are about to hit quarter time there. Hawthorn 3-6-24 leads Essendon's 2-1-13. Earlier today, Tigers by 27 over Collingwood, Suns by 14 over the Swans. And in the East Coast Twilight time slot game at Manuka Oval, Geelong 12 goals 16-88 defeated Greater Western Sydney 4-11-35. Quickly around the grounds in the National Rugby League today, Manly defeated the Wests Tigers 36-22. The Sydney Roosters have defeated the Gold Coast Titans 44 points to 16. Currently, 15 minutes in Townsville, North Queensland 6, leading Newcastle 4. In Super Rugby today, the Waratahs beat Moana Pacifica 26-20. The Brumbies went to New Zealand and defeated the Chiefs. Wow. Great win by the ACT franchise, 38 points to 28. And we're not too far away from the Western Force hosting the mighty men from Canterbury. We'll keep you up to date here. But quarter time at the Gabba. It's the Lions over the Eagles by 15 points. You're hearing it all on Grandstand AFL.
Feel that nip in the air? Does it make you want to garden? ABC Gardening Australia magazine shows you how to propagate a rubber plant, create a spiral topiary, hybridise your own rows, and tips for growing peas and broad beans. And in ABC Organic Gardener, have success with seedlings, keep chook pests under control, and grow hearty winter veg such as leek and cabbage. Gardening Australia and Organic Gardener magazines. Available from newsagents and abcmagazines.com.au.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
McInerney on the wing, kicks towards half forward for Brisbane, through the pack, roved out the back by Rayner. On the left-footed dribbler is a wonderful start for Brisbane. Rayner with the first after 90 seconds.
It's a 1-on-2 for West Coast. The player did well in Jermaine Jones to get the ball away, but now he's got it back. He's in trouble. He's tackled there by McCluggage. He's holding the ball. McCluggage spearing pass into Charlie Cameron, who had an acre of space to run into. 25 metres out, slight angle to the left. Charlie Cameron approaches from 40. Straight as the die to start with from Charlie. That's usually good for his confidence. 2 straight goals for the Lions. Petrevsky Seaton on the chest. Now that's movement from the West Coast Eagles. Inside 50. The bouncing ball in favour of Ryan gathers and snaps. That is a beauty. Coast to coast from the West Coast Eagles. Good answer. Darcy Fort pushes the ruckman out of the way. Toes it forward now to the top of the square. McGovern gets rid of his opponent. Cameron roving. Back standing start to Hugh McCluggage. Top of the square. Floating it through for a goal.
Starting to run shorter forwards. McStay's not looking good at all. He's really in a lot of pain down here. I think this could be a very serious ankle injury for the big forward.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Quentin Hull's my name. You're listening to the national broadcaster. We are ABC Sport. It's nice to have your company on this Saturday night, East Coast time. Saturday, afternoon into the evening over in the west. Brisbane leading by 15 points at the first change here, 3-3 to 1 straight. At Docklands, it's Hawthorn by 11 points at quarter time there. By the way, if you do want to have it, listen to that game, there's an ABC call available. Just go to the AFL website or app and find the worm, and you can hear the call of the Hawks and the Bombers, where Hawthorn leads by 11 points there at quarter time. 15 the diff here, Jason Ackermanis. And
won't be as good a call though, Quentin.
Well, look,
it won't be as good a call.
There are no egos, or we just provide services, Jason. What your service is to tell the listeners how we got to this scoreline after half an hour.
Yes, I think, and the Lions should dominate out of the middle. Obviously, Big O is getting them first service. And I think their forward entries haven't been terrible, but as I've mentioned, they are too deep and too predictable. West Coast, on the other hand, really had limited supply up forward. they've got to make a choice, Matty, whether Nida goes, okay, West Coast, let's just play a little bit more man-on-man up the field. I think we can get it over their very good defence and have more shots on goal. Brisbane, on the other hand, I think need to actually kick it shorter, try to break up the play on their entries going inside forward 50.
No doubt, mate. And that's what they've done most of this year. They've lowered the eyes, they've done the right target or hit the right target all year, whether it's been short or long. And, West Coast have come out, they're -9 in contested possession, clearances are equal. As you mentioned, Pricey, they're definitely playing wide and slow and long down the line, which is when you're in a rut. Well, they're not in a rut, they're in a big black hole. You try and look after the scoreboard. So they're playing in areas where if they turn it over, they can't get hurt on the rebound because that's killed them the last 2 weeks. So, but I don't know where it's going to hold up. 19-7 inside 50, so they're on target for 8 inside 50s of lines, and eventually their talent in their forward 6 will overwhelm them.
Neil had 8 possessions in the first quarter.
And I reckon they were in the back half of that quarter too, because I didn't see him much earlier. He got a couple of little possessions, and then all of a sudden he's coming into the game. Remember last game we were here against the Pies, he had a great second quarter. He really come alive, and see if they can do it again. I mean, they've got to keep the foot down, but I still reckon the skillful players I love in these conditions. This is where it really matters when it's wet. That's when you come to the fore.
7 possessions for Rich, Answorth and McCluggage. Hearn with 9, and Florenka, well done. Top-up player, 9 first-term disposals. But Dan McStay's one of the stories leaving the ground with a left ankle injury. Zane, what can you tell us?
He's out, Q. Tom Berry's been activated. He's down here in a lot of pain. They've ripped the strapping off, but he looks resigned to a few weeks on the sideline, the poor fella.
Well, that's a blow to the Lions as they push towards the top 4 finish. Bailey with the clearance. That's a ripping tackle that came from Jermaine Jones. Dropped him like a bad habit. The ball spilled inside 50. Another tackle laid. And the ball stuck underneath. It was Link McCarthy laying that one.
That's what you want to see.
Jones, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's what you wanted to see.
Yeah.
That real defensive pressure.
Really good tackle. Probably unlucky not to be rewarded with that. And the ball up, slapped down by Ford at ground level. It was with Neil. Now with McGovern over the top. Ball stuck underneath him. We'll have another ball up. 30 metres out from goal for Brisbane. They're in attack.
Ball tossed in the air. Foot gets rid of Edwards. Hand pass to Rayner. 1 step, left boot. Snap on goal. Across the face. He's prominent of recent times. Peppering, but 1 goal, 2 tonight for Cam Rayner. That makes it 3-4, 22 to 1 straight 6.
Reckon the rain stopped too, boys. It's not raining at all.
So that's a good thing for the game moving forward. Still a little bit slippery, the surface, as Shannon Hearn plays on, runs about 10 metres outside the goal square. A long kick towards the outer wing. Kennedy a long way from home. Comes off his hands. Front and centre, Lockie Neal. Weaving through traffic. Gives it to Rayner. Well, sells him into a bit of trouble, actually. And Rayner had to get out of that. Handball back to Rich. Now he spills it. Picked up by Kelly. He's tackled in turn by Rich. The ball stuck underneath all of them.
Lockie Neal didn't need to be that selfless. He had a shot.
Could have had a flying shot himself. He was 45 metres from goal. Probably a little slippery though, Aka. Maybe not as comfortable as you were in the wet as the ball spills towards Leicester. The inclusion, the veteran from a standing start, goes up and down the chimney. It's not taken there. Bounced off the chest of the West Coast player there in Redden. The ball spills now to Bailey. He curls around the pack. Some sloppy stuff here. Bailey puts it up high, and that's a good mark. Taken by Jack Payne. He got in front of Barris. Takes it right on the boundary. More or less have to kick this from the 50-metre arc. He decides to pop it up to the top of the square, looking for Darcy Fort. Nothing happening. The ball stuck underneath several, and it's with Duggan as he's tackled at the top of the goal square. There'll be a ball up.
Quickly thrown in the air. Fort taps defensive side, hoping to create space. McCarthy roved, that had no space to kick. In the scrimmage, picked up by Nate of West Coast. Hands to Gaff, clearing kick from the pocket to half-back. Ricochets through Cripps to Redden. His hand pass went to Jared Berry, though. Redden realised the mistake, made the tackle, and Berry's down. I think he hit his head hard there in that tackle. Cleared by the Eagles, but to halfway and marked by Adams of Brisbane. He chips it infield to the still full back, Harris Andrews.
He's up now, Berry.
Andrews, last man defensively for Brisbane in the middle of the ground. Kicks to Berry leading out there. Miraculous recovery. Couldn't mark. Rode by Cameron, dispossessed. Under the tackle there of Redden. Holding the ball, or illegal disposal, either. And it's Jack Redden with the free kick for West Coast in the left back pocket.
Oh, just having a look at the replay there, and it was a hard hit that Berry took. It was a long kick towards the outer side. Off hands. Good Handball flies out, but it just didn't find the target. Edwards couldn't pick it up for the West Coast Eagles. Lockie Neal could. Got the handball back to Bailey, but he gave it to him in traffic. Bailey goes outside to Adams, promotes it forward now to McInerney, who fists it over towards the boundary line. Berry picks it up, kicks it inside 50 at the back of the pack. Edwards for the West Coast Eagles lowers the eyes and finds Waterman. They're going to be out here. It's a nice lead to right half back to find Cripps.
Who's got the veteran Kennedy presenting on the wing.
Doesn't he still work hard?
Yep, takes the mark there in some space. 700 goals and counting, Josh Kennedy. None so far tonight. He's kicked towards half forward for Ryan, was spoiled away by Andrews. Over the boundary line for a throw-in. Matt Primus and Jason Ackermanis are experts on Grandstand AFL.
Big Josh had no one to kick it to, though, did he? They're not working. It's all behind the ball here, West Coast. They're just trying to stop the bleeding, I think.
Boundary throwing at right half forward here for the Eagles, who are attacking the western end in this second term. Shallow throw in. McInerney double fists it towards the wing and space. Picked up by Rayner. Puts the big fender get away from McGovern, then left boot from the wing. Inside attack towards half forward. Gathered by Payne on the bounce. Hand pass to Zorko. Chip to space. Cameron gets there. Presents and marks. Despite the pressure of Rotham.
Beautiful kick.
Tell you what, he must be quick, that Rotham. To keep up with Charlie on the fly, that's nearly impossible.
Plenty of space, didn't he, Charlie?
He had,
nearly got there.
And it was at full tilt, wasn't it?
Beautiful kick, though, by Zorko, wasn't it? Just giving that ample opportunity to use his speed.
Throwing your pens around there.
Yep, it's all right. Hopefully Charlie Cameron's not spraying his kicks as much as I'm spraying the stationery.
I was just thinking how good Rayner's going to be. I think he may be the beneficiary of these big guys going down.
40 metres out. Cameron likes that off the boot. And there's that confident spring in his step to realise he's got two straight for the night. And Brisbane is out by 22 points at 4-4-28 to one straight 6.
It's going to be a long night for those Eagles forwards. As you mentioned, Aka, they're getting high up trying to help out their mids and backs, but then when they win the ball, there's nothing to kick to. So there's repeat inside 50s, a truckload of running for those guys to do, and eventually this damn wall's going to break right open.
Yeah, and the skill of the boys there. How good is Rayner, though? And I just mentioned Rayner because I think with that, he's looking really good jumping at the ball. I think he's going to take a few more marks tonight and kick a few more goals. But with those bigger players being down, I think he's going to be one guy in the next part of this year going forward that will really benefit.
So he's in that striker role, isn't he? The midfielder that can go forward and really make
Dusty's like a Dusty. He's so strong.
Very strong. Well, he was compared very early to Dusty when he was drafted.
He'll be better than him, don't worry about it.
Oh, jeepers. That's a massive call written and authorised by Jason Ackermanis as we go back into the middle of the ground.
So that requires 4 premierships and 4 Norm Smiths.
I'm backing him in. I'm backing him in.
Connor West now plays on for the West Coast Eagles. They got the free kick. A kick inside 50 off the hands. Daniel Rich tackled. He loses the ball. Cripps tracks it back. Picked up there by Winder. He's tackled into the ground. The ball spills away. Darling, handball back to Petrevski-Seaton. They've been pushed all the way, rugby maul style, back outside defensive 50, but Jared Lyons has infringed on Connor West. Back inside the centre square. He's going to get the free kick for the West Coast Eagles. Now it's a bit of a floater. It goes to the right forward pocket. Big fist of Oscar McInerney in front and square was Pryor. He's tackled there by the debutant. He could be pink holding the ball there. Good tackle from Florenka and held the ball underneath him. He's very fortunate. Will be a ball up in the right forward pocket.
Good start too for Florenka, one of the stories coming from South Fremantle, 24 years of age. 9 touches already, so doing his job, called in the time of need. Make it touch 10. He got a clearance there, hand pass to Jamison. Snap on goal is near side for a point. But that was a good effort again from Jake Florenka.
That was a throw. It was a free kick.
4-4-28 to West Coast 1-1-7.
It's in the book as a handball. That's how it works. Jackson Pryor, 20 metres forward. I reckon it's all sacred here. There's Brandon Starcevich. Just pokes one out towards Harris Andrews at right half back, just right on the 50-metre arc. They're being very careful, Brisbane. Just 20-metre pass along the arc to Leicester. Leicester with a little lead from Daniel Rich. Now, he's not prolific in the metres gained so far today, only 42 metres, and that'll have only 10 to it, barely the required distance. Still haven't come out of defensive 50 here. Harris Andrews on the paint. Back to Daniel Rich. They are just holding onto the ball and waiting to spread this defence.
Well, they're just emptied out so far, West Coast, so they're just trying to make them run around and tire them out until something opens up.
Now Rich goes straight up the middle to Zorko. He sees Payne running for him, misses him with the ball. Now the Eagles with a chance. Jamieson picks it up. He's barreled into the ground. Good tackle there.
T-Berry. He's out there.
He is. I tell you what, he doesn't mind a bit of that stuff either too.
Brother.
Ball up right on the paint of 50.
McStay out with an ankle injury, so Tom Berry, the Medi sub, into the game. Kicked off the ground by Kelly, away from half back for West Coast. He follows up in the middle of the ground. High contact. No. Play on. As McCluggage picks up to Tom Berry with a hand pass. He gives a hand pass to Lyons. Rush kick inside 50. Marked on the chest of Cameron. 35 out directly in front. And he will line up for goal 3.
Better entry. I mean, that was on the boot, but look how much shallower it is. So forwards in front, exactly what you need. Chris Fagan be happy with that, not bombing it in.
Charlie Cameron came in to the game tonight with 15 goals, 8. So he can add 2 to that already.
Let's hear the song again, boys.
Straight in front, 40 metres out, right foot drop, punt. Brings another rendition of John Denver.
Sick of this song by the end of the night, okay?
I love this song.
5-4-34 plays 1 straight 6. We know these lyrics. Zane can actually give us some information from the boundary.
Yeah, Dan McStain's gone down into the dressing room queue. He was in a lot of pain as he went down there. You mentioned T. Berry out there. Well, Jay Berry's on the bench being assessed for concussion. He did stay on for a little bit, but then when he came off, the medicos got to him, and they've been trying to work out how he's going.
27 points the margin here. Meanwhile, at Docklands, Hawthorn leads by 2 goals. The Hawks 5-8-38 over the Bombers 4-2-26. That game tracking at the same time as this.
Let me tell you, it could take all night to work out Jared Berry what's going on. I fair dinkum. He is just always the exact same. He's just level. They wouldn't even know. They could do 10 tests. They wouldn't get through to him.
Level-headed Jared
Very
Berry.
level-headed.
Darcy Ford in the ruck for Brisbane. Got it down, but fell into the path of Kelly, who steams onto it for the West Coast, kicks it to the top of the square. Spoil against Harris Andrews was illegal. It's a chop of the arm, so that'll go against Jack Darling. They play on quickly. The kick from Harris Andrews not great in the direction of Archie. It fell short, and Waterman read it well. So the Eagles with the ball at right half forward here, trailing by 28 points. He kicks it to the top of the square. Archie with a fist. Front and square, Zorko. Handball to Fort. The big fella lays a slipper in. Tumbles it towards the wing. It goes over the back of the pack. It was well read by McGovern. He kicks it towards half forward. It bounces off the chest of Answorth. Time for Neil to recover. Handball it back to Answorth. Tackled by Waterman. He flicks it to Lyons. Now to Archie. And it's a long kick in the Bailey direction, but McGovern did that beautifully. Got him out of the way, took the mark.
Another intercept mark. He's
1,000.
1 wood. He's ace play. He's had a few tonight in the slippery conditions. Chips it to Redden, who's on the wing. He kicks to the bullseye, where Foley takes the mark for West Coast. Plays on with a kick to half forward. Presenting and marking is Naish.
Good mark.
The ex-Tiger who was picked up pre-season to play at West Coast. And here he is, 70 from goal, kicking to the pocket. The very wide leader, Kennedy, too wide for him. And it's escorted out of play on the bounce by Marcus Adams, the Brisbane defender, getting close to the fans there. Out in the forward pocket, where it will be thrown in around 40 metres from the goal that the Eagles are attacking. Edwards to do the rucking against Fort, neither with a telling touch. Kennedy has to play rover, had no help. Andrews picks up for Brisbane. Hand pass to Starcevic, copped one high. Free kick comes his way, and Brandon Starcevic will relieve for Brisbane from full back. The Lions leading by 27 points.
He chips it just about 15 metres forward to find Harris Andrews, who tries to milk a 50 with Winder on the mark. Umpire Gluphus not having any of that. He goes laterally, finds Lester on the boundary. He chips it just outside a defensive 50 to Archie and across the line to Neil with a 15-metre kick. So 70 from goal.
Just trying to get them up, West Coast. They're trying to make them accountable. That's why they're chipping around.
So Neil sold the big dummy with Liam Ryan on the mark, came back towards the commentary wing, right in front of the grandstand commentary box. Nice mark taken by Lyons. Barely the 15 in front to find Rayner. Again, stationary, but West Coast are set up reasonably well in front. Now, there's the dangerous kick towards the centre. Finds Coleman. The run of Leicester. Lowers the eyes. All into the path of Cameron. Fisted away there by Hearn. Ball at ground level. Well picked up there by Pryor. Toes it inside 50. Cameron the handball. Tom Berry roves and misses to the right.
Exciting play there.
Very much so. 40 to 6. It's a 34-point game. 6-4-40 the Lions. 1 straight the Eagles. 13 gone.
No, that's wrong on the big scoreboard. It's 5-5 to one straight.
Oh, we've transposed the figures on the scoreboard at the Gabba.
No, that's okay.
That's a
I must
shock,
admit,
isn't it?
I'd given a point to Jamison a moment ago, and I think that was struck from the record. So
because it was a free kick.
Yeah, that's right. So I thought West Coast
It's
moved
come back
1-1.
So it's gone back down.
And now the scoreboard's right. Charlie's picked up someone's boot and chucked it away.
That's what you do.
That's sportsmanship at its best. Here you go, champ. I would have thrown it over the fence.
It was Barris's boot.
That hairdo.
So West Coast's got the ball at left half back. And Edwards plays on with a hand pass to Jones. Long kick towards the wing. Flying in front, Answorth for Brisbane. Doesn't mark, but butters up at ground level. Runs out of geography, though, as the ball goes over the boundary line near the players' interchange gates. Let's put the glasses up. I wonder if Dan McStay hasn't re-emerged. A forlorn figure doing his left ankle in that first term off the back of Joe Danaher's shoulder injury last week. A couple of key pillars of the forward line structure for Brisbane injured in consecutive weeks. Free kick from that stoppage on the wing goes Brisbane's way. It's Lyons chipping it around the wing to Zorko. Injected back into the midfield last week. He's on the southern wing and kicks around the boundary line to Jared Berry.
He's past his concussion. He's back.
Yep, Jared Berry 60 metres out. Hard on the boundary. He's going to send it to the top of the goal square. Barris got to the front. Big piece, can't mark. Roves at ground level. Hand pass doesn't create. Scrimmage for play. McCarthy with a hand pass out the back to Jared Lyons. And his snap is a near side miss. Not enough screw on it. And it's a 30-point lead for Brisbane. 5-6 to one straight.
That's good news, though.
Had some shots on goals with those handball backs, haven't they?
They have.
In their forward 50.
They'll start getting a few of them. They've been a bit unlucky.
That's our experts, Jason Ackermanis and Matty Primus here on Grandstand AFL. Shannon Hearn in the right back pocket. This is disposal number 12 for him. He chips it forward.
Almost ashamed to see him kick it that short because he can kick it so well.
Jermaine Jones was the recipient, just inside defensive 50. Good marking effort by Kadeem Coleman in front of Winder. Roving with Starcevic. Good tackle by Waterman, though. Starcevic is a tough customer. Waterman for the West Coast Eagles rewarded for that tackle with a free kick.
He played against his dad as well, Matty.
Yes, he was a tough man, wasn't he?
He's a brute.
Did he have a mullet like the young lad?
No, but he had a bigger chest.
Big chest, big arms.
It wasn't a big kick. It was actually just cut off there by Darcy Ford for Brisbane. He goes laterally handballing to Daniel Ridge. That's a left foot outside of the boot torpedo. Weird kick that goes to McCarthy. Kicks it inside 50. Flying Charlie Cameron. Comes off hands. And Rove, Jack Payne, buries his opponent. He's a big boy. Poor old Luke Foley. He just monstered in pain. 120 kilos of him. Ball up 40 metres out.
From Brisbane's goal as McInerney taps clear of the congestion. Archie picks up, hand pass defensively to Coleman, pushed off his kick, ricochets to Rich of Brisbane, hands to Zorko on attacking 50, hands it to McCarthy, kick down the throat of Jones, who plays for the opposition, marks in the left back pocket for West Coast, and they're out. Quick kick to Petrevski-Seaton, marks and just has to hold up that precious moment or two, and now what was a fluent movement from the back pocket becomes a stagnant kick down the line to Gaff, and he chips in field to Waterman, but the Eagles still have it. Waterman now chips to Cripps. Chips to Cripps. Got it right the first time. Shouldn't try it a second, Acker.
That's right, man.
Cripps has got it on the southern wing. Kicks West Coast into attack. Looking for Jamison. Couldn't mark, but does his own roving. 50 out. Squaring kick. Hoping for Winder. Flying over the back of Coleman. Couldn't mark. Archie arrives to help out for Brisbane. Hand pass back to Coleman. It was a bad one. Winder pinches his pocket. In the pocket, Winder got it, tried to dummy around, hand pass went to the feet of West. He's under pressure now, picked up by Andrews of Brisbane, hands to Archie, clearing kick went straight to Hearn, gathers it 60 out, kicks it back to full forward for West Coast, players fly, roved by Rich, hands it to Neil, and I think Brisbane will escape this time, Pricey.
I think they just did. Lockie Neal just chipped it towards Jared Berry, and they are in the right back pocket, and boys, that was ring around the rosy from the defence. Winder was leading them a merry dance there as well.
Unbelievable pressure from Winder. That's 4-5 efforts and got the ball back and nearly scored.
Long kick from Jared Berry. Ends up in the hands of Cripps. Sorry, it was taken by Rotham. He's tackled immediately into the ground. The ball stuck underneath him. And we'll get a ball up. He hands it back to the umpire on the Stanley Street wing. The Lions are leading this one by 30 points. Here's the contest. At the back of the contest is Daniel Rich. Handball out wide to Jared Lyons. From a standing start, 15 metres forward. Comes off hands. Gaff escorts the ball over the boundary line, or does he? Cripps joins him and gets tackled. And it was actually Duggan, and the ball will get thrown in on the outer side. Some concerned looks from coach Chris Fagan on the big screen.
I reckon Payne got a bad corky just over here early in the quarter. Just keep an eye on him down there, Zane.
Yeah, he definitely did. Acker. Boundary throw in on the southern wing, picked up by Fort of Brisbane. Rush kick looking for Payne. He's moving okay there, but spoiled away by McGovern. Picked up by Gaff. Hand pass to the wing. Petrevski-Seaton will get or give away a free kick for going at the legs, giving away a free kick. I just thought he was attacking the ball really well there on a slippery night.
That's the other part of that rule.
Went to the legs and Fort gets the free kick. Hands it to Rich from the wing. Bangs Brisbane deep into attack. Rayner ran into the back of an opponent. Did he give away a free kick? Doesn't matter. Hearn's got it out the back for West Coast. Chip to the goal mouth. Spilled there for a moment by Jones. Regathers. Hand passes to Foley. Clearing kick marked by Winder. Defensive side of the wing for West Coast. Brisbane leading by 30 points. Winder's hand pass through Naish. Handed on to Waterman on the wing. Squaring infield kick. Gets to the sliding lead and the mark there of Edwards. 70 from goal. Edwards kicks towards Kennedy. He's got Rich against him. Rich monstered him. Said that's okay. Out the back, cleaned up by Starcevic of Brisbane, who chips it to Neil. Forward of full back. He takes the mark and will set things up for Brisbane in the last line.
That was brilliantly done by Daniel Rich.
He did it well, didn't he? Yes.
He was a mismatch of all mismatches. He thought he was in trouble.
And he did beautifully. Got Josh Kennedy off. That's a sling, and he threw the ball away. Did Calamarchi. There was a good tackle there from Foley. Just forward to centre wing on the commentary side, the Vulture Street side of the Gabba. Lions by 5 goals. Here's Foley into the right forward pocket. Darling with the clunk. No, he fisted away from him. Front and square there was McCluggage. Handball back to Answorth. He tumbles it just over the wing, and Shannon Hearn again. Oof. 15th disposal for him. He comes wide of the wing to Waterman. A floating ball laterally onto the logo. Jamieson, the handball now. Foley from a standing start. 45-metre kick. Harris Andrews leads the charge. Fisted away from him. Ball at ground level. There's a contest and there's a maul. It will be a ball up in the right forward pocket for the West Coast Eagles, having a good patch.
I love watching those tall backs who just read the play, like McGovern, Hearn, Andrews there.
Too much fun.
They don't worry about their men, they just worry about defending the ball.
Hey, watch the ball, that's the main thing.
Great.
Jamieson and Fort leap for the ruck contest. Roved by Kelly of West Coast. Snap from 30. Bounces over the head of Andrews in the goal mouth. Across the face, Andrews gathers. He's tackled. Got a hand pass away. Pryor holding the ball. Got it over the boundary line. Nope. Umpire says throw it in. Next to the behind post with West Coast deep in attack. Only the one scoring shot for them. A goal to Liam Ryan, 10.5 minutes in. Gee, that was a good tackle from Andrew Gaff that went unrewarded. Throw in with the line still in. Eagles still in attack. Jared Berry out the back. Kicks it over his head, but straight to Gaff. Must have been touched. Ump said no mark. Play on. Hand pass comes free. On defensive, 50 for Brisbane. Tom Berry picks up. Monstered. Great tackle, Kelly. Not rewarded. Was that legal disposal? Play on. Picked up by... he overran it. Duggan picks it up for West Coast. Hands it to West. Hands to Petrevski-Seaton. Finds a bit of space on 50 and then almost missed his boot with a kick. Slewed off the side. Picked up by Jones. Hands it to Duggan. He's tackled by Bailey, and of course the ump gives that one.
There's a lot of tackles to choose from. 41-36, Brisbane lead it. Long kick towards Payne. It was really well done on the outer side from Rotham, who spoiled the ball. Now the West Coast Eagles with a chance. Goes to the outer logo, and they're going to slow it all down. Jones into the middle. Jamieson the target. He takes it. He wants to play on, though. It was a dodgy handball intercepted by McCluggage. Now the Lions with a chance. It's stuck under all of them in the middle of the ground. We'll have a ball up.
Had a good 2 or 3 minutes here, West Coast. They're bringing good heat. They're sloppy with ball in hand, but they're certainly out Brizzy.
Has Zane got something for us?
On the boundary, Zane. Had something a moment ago. We'll get back there. Ball in the middle of the ground from the bounce. Roved by Neil of Brisbane. Kicks the Lions to a 2-on-2 at half forward. Fisted to ground level. Rotham is underneath the pack. Gathers no prior. And umpire comes in and says ball up. Getting close to half time here at the Gabba. Lions leading by 5 goals. Clearance from half-back for West Coast, looking for Kennedy in the middle of the ground. Crashes the pack but can't mark. Numbers are plenty for Brisbane out the back. Starcevic gathers, then took too long. Cripps with a great tackle. Play on! Took them on, didn't dispose of it properly. Coleman picks up. Gee, Eagles fans, often those of us here in the East say it's hard to get a free kick in the West. I tell you what, it's hard to get a free kick in the East tonight if you're wearing yellow. Kick goes inside 50 and Darling takes the mark off the entry of Kelly.
They deserve this, West Coast. The last 2 or 3 minutes, umpires have scorched them a couple of times. They deserve this goal.
And with all due respect, this is just word pictures for fans across the country. As I think more than anything, it's got nothing to do with a comment on the umpiring. It's the comment of the new interpretation of holding the ball, which we're all still trying to learn. And we want it to be consistent. Here's Darling on the runway. West Coast need a goal close to half-time. From 35 out, Jack Darling's right boot results in a poster. West Coast 1-1-7, trailing Brisbane's 5-6-36. Matt Primus, Jason Ackermanis.
I was just going to say how good the tackling is from West Coast, considering where they were last week and how horrible they are, or have been this year at times. This is a much better
chalk and cheese, isn't it, for the last fortnight?
Pressure game.
Right back pocket for Brisbane. Noah Answorth with a searching kick, looking for McInerney. Punched through his hands, roved by Adams. Under pressure, it's a towering ball towards the outer wing. Fisted towards the ground. Beautifully picked up there by Rayner. A handball through to Cameron. He approaches the 50-metre arc and goes to the top of the square looking for Pryor, who fists it down, roves it and gets crunched by Waterman in a ripping tackle. Brought to ground. It will be a ball up inside defensive 50. Another great example of that tackling, Matty Primus.
Yeah, well, important 3 or 4 minutes for them. If they can hang on here and not concede a goal, it'll be a great effort to go into half-time, and it's something for Knights to talk about at half-time.
Yes, Matty Knights coaching with Adam Simpson out with the COVID protocols. Clearance for West Coast from that stoppage at half-back. Redden kicks it towards the boundary line. Starcevic met it first, couldn't pick up. Darling harasses him over the line.
Could you say a joke that perhaps Simo just didn't want to coach this week? I've got COVID.
Good freaking fly points though, Acker.
Oh, cool, yeah. You'll need a holiday after this year, fair dinkum.
Of course, senior coach at Essendon for 3 seasons, Matthew Knights, took them to a finals campaign during that time. Clearance for Brisbane here. Zorko's hand past the lines. His kicker smothered by McGovern. It ricochets back to Zorko. 50 out, kick to the goal mouth, and Rayner keeps presenting. There's another mark for Cam Rayner, this time in the left forward pocket.
He'll kick this. He's looking dangerous.
And it will be after the halftime siren. So
he can't play on.
He'll need to work things out on the natural arc here.
Oh, he's played on.
He take a step, and then Ump says no.
Umpire called played on.
Call played on. You can't do that. No goal. Now, I'll give the score. Half-time, 5-6-36 to 1-1-7. Matt Primus and Jason Ackermanis explain what happened there and the difference between what he can do with the natural arc, which we've had brought into the game, but now the difference between the natural arc and stepping infield for the snap punt.
Well, I think they called that play on too early because you're allowed to take that step, which he did, and they called play on, which was incorrect. And then the siren ran, so then the umpires and the players are all confused. Then he kicks the goal. So, in effect, this is when you should go to the replay and say, well, was this actually a goal? Because it shouldn't be called play on, but of course you can't overrule those up.
Well, no, I think that he's not allowed to step off the line. Is that what we're talking about here, Matt?
You can step to the line.
Yeah, so I think
he stepped. The umpire deemed he stepped infield and off his line.
Would have been a millimetre. It was like this much. It wasn't much at all. But that said, that is a good half, a better half from the Eagles, we've got to say.
Yeah.
The Lions would be a bit disappointed with their lack of scoring in that quarter because they look quite dangerous at times. They did have a lot of shots, and I don't know how many points did they get that quarter.
Brisbane kicked 2 goals, 3 to West Coast's 1 behind.
Yeah, so, I would have thought that there was a couple of very easy and makeable goals there, Pricey. At least 2 of those set shots. They weren't that hard, Matty.
No, West Coast are just making a scrapper. They're making it hard for Brisbane to play flowing footy, hard for them to have lots of easy scores inside 50. The best team in the comp going inside 50, they're getting lots of numbers back. So they're making it difficult. So there is an oppo making life difficult for them. And Brisbane just got to try and fight their way through that. And I would say as the game goes on, fatigue will come in and the scoreboard will start to increase significantly.
Charlie Cameron's got 3 goals for Brisbane. The other 2 are singles to Cam Rayner and Hugh McCluggage. Liam Ryan the only goal for West Coast, which was kicked 10 minutes into the game. So repeating that halftime score at the Gabba, it's the hosts, Brisbane, 5 goals 6, 36 to West Coast's 1-1-7. And we are close to halftime at Docklands, where there was some late drama for Essendon with 5 changes there, and they're putting on a pretty good show of it. Hawthorn leading by 11 points. That's still got 3 minutes of playing time before it gets to half-time there. It's Hawthorn's 7 goals, 8-50, leading Essendon's 6 goals, 3-39. Max Lynch has 2 goals for Hawthorn. Peter Wright has 2 goals for Essendon. They're the only players with multiple goals at that game at Docklands. So 3 minutes to half-time there, and it is the Hawks by 11 points. Earlier today, the twilight game at Manuka Oval in Canberra saw Geelong beat Greater Western Sydney by 53 points. Final scoreline in the nation's capital, Cats 12-16-88 to the Giants 4-11-35. And Richmond and Gold Coast were the winners in the afternoon of round 8 on the Saturday. Richmond by 27 points over Collingwood at the MCG. And Gold Coast continues its good recent record over the Sydney Swans and at the SCG, winning at the famous Sydney venue by 14 points this afternoon. In the National Rugby League, 3 games being played today. We're in half-time of the third of them up in Townsville, and the Newcastle Knights lead North Queensland by 16 points to 12 at half-time. Earlier in the day, Manly defeated the West's Tigers 36-22, and the Roosters defeated the Gold Coast Titans by 44 points to 16. And in the Super Rugby, getting close to half-time in Perth between the Crusaders and the Force. It's the men from Canterbury leading by 10 points to 8. Earlier today, the Waratahs beat Moana Pacifica 26-20, and the Brumbies doing a great job for Australian rugby against the strong New Zealand franchises. They beat the Chiefs in the Waikato by 38 points to 28. Great result for the ACT Brumbies. Halftime here at the Gabba, it's Brisbane 5-6-36, leading West Coast 1-1-7. Hope you're enjoying your footy with us on Grandstand AFL. We'll be back with more from the Gabba after the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Opposition leader Anthony Albanese has responded to the foreign minister's meeting with her Solomon Islands counterpart, saying it's about time. It's the first time the ministers have met in person since a security agreement was signed between China and the Solomon Islands. In a statement, Maurice Payne says she again outlined Australia's deep concerns about the pact, including the lack of transparency. Mr Albanese says Shadow Foreign Minister Penny Wong should have been given the option of attending.
It's about time. I would have thought it would have been appropriate. I don't know the circumstances of whether Maurice Payne invited the Shadow Foreign Minister, given we're in caretaker mode. That would have been the appropriate course of action. I'm not aware of whether that happened or not.
Labor frontbencher Bill Shorten has tested positive to COVID-19 just 2 weeks before Australians head to the polls. Mr Shorten's one of several Labor frontbenchers who've had coronavirus during the election campaign. Mr Shorten's posted on social media that he'll be out of isolation for the final week of campaigning. 50 more civilians have left the Azovstal steelworks in Mariupol thanks to a joint operation by the UN and the International Red Cross. More are believed to still be trapped in the Soviet-era tunnels and bunkers beneath the sprawling facility. Ukrainian soldiers have accused Russian forces of breaching a ceasefire. There's also been pleas from the families of Ukrainian soldiers who are still fighting, including this woman Svetlana, who's begging world leaders to help her save her only son.
Это ужасно.
It's horrible. Horrible to know that your son is fighting and has nothing left to fight with in a city that is completely razed to the ground and seized by the occupiers. I would give everything in exchange for him to survive, for everyone who is still there under the bombardment to survive.
The Palestinian Red Crescent say 7 Palestinians have been wounded in clashes with Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli military says Palestinians threw rocks and petrol bombs at soldiers who responded. The clashes occurred as Israeli security forces demolished a floor of a house of an alleged Palestinian assailant near the city of Jenin. There have been 19 new deaths from coronavirus in New South Wales in the latest reporting period. There were 11,671 new cases of COVID-19. There have been 1,481 people in hospital with COVID in New South Wales. 54 are in intensive care. WA Health has recorded 6 historic COVID-related deaths dating back to April 28th. The news comes as the state records 9,243 new cases of COVID. There are currently 275 people in hospital with the virus, including 11 in intensive care. That takes the total number of COVID deaths reported today in Australia to 41. One man's under police guard in a Queensland hospital and another is on the run after shots were fired at police in Toowoomba yesterday. Here's Elizabeth Cramsey.
The shots were fired from an allegedly stolen vehicle in Harristown at 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Police returned fire and the vehicle sped off, but a short time later, a man presented at Toowoomba Hospital with gunshot wounds. He remains under police guard. No charges have been laid. One other man is still on the run. No police officers were injured in the incident and the Ethical Standards Command is investigating.
Real estate industry leaders say it should be business as usual at auctions and open inspections across the country this weekend, despite this week's interest rate rise. Here's Evelyn Mansfield.
This is the first weekend since the Reserve Bank increased the interest rate by 25 basis points that home buyers and sellers will head to auctions and open inspections. Executive Director of the South Australian Housing Industry Association, Stephen Knight, says historically interest rates have been much higher.
They are modest and thankfully in South Australia our mortgages are lower than in the eastern states.
But the latest figures from the Office of the Valuer General show house prices in Adelaide are rising. The median house price has increased by 25% in the 12 months to March to $650,000.
And Gold Coast has again beaten Sydney at the SCG, upsetting its more fancied opponents by 14 points in round 8 of the AFL. Suns forward Isaac Rankins kicked 2 goals as Gold Coast scored 10-15-75 to the Swans 8-13-61. At the MCG, Richmond forward Tom Lynch kicked 6 goals as the Tigers defeated traditional Melbourne rivals Collingwood by 27 points. Richmond star Dustin Martin made a successful return to the field, kicking 2 goals and getting 23 disposals. ABC News.
It's happening. Australia votes on the 21st.
Hi, Sabra Lane here. I'm the presenter of AM. I honestly believe it is something to celebrate in Australia. Many of us do take voting for granted. So many other people in so many other countries don't get that opportunity or to do it peacefully. The fact that we can do it peacefully, I think that's something to celebrate.
Get accurate, impartial information on your ABC radio or head to abc.net.au/Australia votes. Election news that matters to you on the ABC.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
McInerney on the wing, kicks towards half forward for Brisbane, through the pack, roved out the back by Rayner, on the left-footer dribbler is a wonderful start for Brisbane. Rayner with the first after 90 seconds.
McStay's not looking good at all. He's really in a lot of pain down here. I think this could be a very serious ankle injury for the big forward. They've ripped the strapping off, but he looks resigned to a few weeks on the sideline.
Gathered by Payne on the bounce, hand pass to Zorko, chip to space, Cameron gets there, presents and marks. 40 metres out, Cameron likes that off the boot. And that confident spring in his step to realise he's got 2 straight for the night. As McCluggage picks up to Tom Berry with a hand pass to Lyons, rush kick inside 50, marked on the chest of Cameron, 35 out directly in front, and he will line up for goal 3. Straight in front, 40 metres out, right foot drop, punts. Brings another rendition of John Denver.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
And for those just tuning in at halftime wondering what does that mean? Well, when Charlie Cameron kicks a goal at the Gabba, they play Take Me Home Country Road. So we've already heard it 3 times tonight. Nice to have you with us. Quentin Hull and Michael Price calling the action, with former Brownlow medalist Jason Ackermanis, well-travelled player and coach Matthew Primus, Zane Bojak's eagle eye on the boundary, and it's been a decent enough contest to this point, and that's probably the headline, along with Daniel McStay's ankle injury for Brisbane after the Lions lost Joe Danaher to a 4 to 6 week shoulder injury last week, another of their key pillars of their forward structure has gone down tonight. He's been subbed out of the game with what looks like a pretty serious left ankle tweak. And Brisbane at the main break, leading by 29 points. The Lions are 5-6-36 to West Coast's 1-1-7. We've now got to half-time at Docklands in Melbourne, where Hawthorn leads Essendon by 18 points at half-time. The Hawks are, I'll give you the breakdown, there we go, 8-9, 57 to 6-3, 39. So Hawthorn 8-9, 57 to the Bombers 6-3, 39. 2 goals to Max Lynch for Hawthorn, 2 goals to Peter Wright for Essendon. And as far as the disposals are concerned, Jai Newcomb leading the way with 22 touches for the Hawks. Zach Merritt has 18 for the Bombers. Let's give you some numbers here. Outside of Charlie Cameron's 3 goals, that's been the main story in front of goal on the scoreboard for Brisbane. Leading possession winners, Daniel Rich has had 16 to half-time, along with Lachie Neale. Harris Andrews, who's played at full back all night, just waiting for that move. He was named at full forward. He still hasn't gone to full forward yet, Harris Andrews, despite being named in the rather important information that comes out when teams are named. Seriously, why don't we just get squads named? I'm waiting for... They're going to get a whack. If he doesn't go forward tonight, I'm lining up for him, because it's just taking the mick. And the fans deserve better than that. Fullback Harris Andrews has had 14 disposals. Hugh McCluggage 11, Jared Lyons 11, 10 for Zorko, 10 for Answorth. Shannon Hearn, he's had a terrific game down back for West Coast. 15 disposals. Redden 12, Kelly 11, West 11, and a heap with 10 touches for the Eagles. Waterman, Jones, McGovern, Gaff and Florenka. Overall, Brisbane 191 disposals to West Coast's 164, so that's a 27 differential in favour of the Lions. Contested possessions +6 to Brisbane. The marks +9 for Brisbane at 56 to 47. The clearances +4 for Brisbane at 22 to 18. Inside 50s, 43 entries for Brisbane for 11 scores, 40 entries for West Coast for 2 scores. Matt Primus, do we start there?
Well, we do start there.
Oh, just a moment. Your headset isn't open. And Aussie Bob now has opened it.
We're on, yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
He was fixing something else at the back of the box at half-time.
Busy man.
Yes, okay.
Keep going on. No, well, it's as we spoke about, it's the way West Coast are trying to play. They've obviously come with a queue of the last 2 weeks, losing by 80 and 110 points, right? Losing more players, the longest trip. Brisbane are on fire. Let's just try and squash the game in. Lots of numbers between the arcs, which is making it hard for Brisbane. They're only going at 31% efficiency, and they're normally high 40s, if not 50% against the lower team. So it's a bit of credit to how West Coast are playing, but it's hard work for them when they do get ball in hand. So, but they're going to try and hang in. Port Adelaide, they were down by 12 goals at halftime. Richmond was 70, 80 points, and then there's no hope at all. At least there's something for the coach to sell at halftime with the way they're playing about in the game, and it gives the players a bit of life and a bit of something to look forward to.
You've been a senior coach at this level and sat in many match committees. What's the point of naming Harris Andrews at full forward?
No, that's it's nothing. There is no point. Sometime, maybe 10, 15 years ago, you could do something about a matchup, and they might go, "Oh, if it is, we need more key forwards." But West Coast have got enough key backs; it's not going to bother them at all. And that's the last thing that West Coast are worried about, where Harris Andrews is with their form. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure why he would be throwing that up there, considering he's one of the best key backmen in the competition. As you mentioned, it's taking the mickey, and you get nothing out of it.
I'm not trying to be too pertinent on this, but I've covered country footy.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that you expect.
Used to happen years and years.
It happens in country footy, and happened. I mean, you couldn't even get away with that teams in the VFL.
No, there's just no need for it at all.
I come from an angle of we're in an age where the game is so dependent on the way that the information is given to the the public.
The supporters, the media, everybody who's involved in the game comes to watch the game.
Yeah, and I'm lining the lines up twice on Harris now because they told us all through last year he didn't have an ankle injury after he went down in Adelaide, and then in summer they tell us, Harris wasn't great because he had an ankle injury.
And then normally, correct me if I'm wrong, Brisbane have normally been pretty good with the information giving out.
And clubs are entitled to keep some things in-house, right? But there's the difference between, i.e., not telling someone of a key injury in a final series compared to naming a guy that's kicked one goal in his last 67 games of football and is a two-time All-Australian fullback, naming him a full forward if he's not going to play at full forward.
Especially when you bring in Payne. So it's just not going to happen, is it? The Payne comes in, they get McStay, it's just not going to happen. So,
to me, and I'm probably going on about it a bit, it's just... This is a group that's on the precipice of doing something really important for the football club, and there's a hint of getting too smart by half about it, with a couple of things they've done in that regard the last 6 months or so.
Yep. And as I said, I reckon through the AFL, everybody viewed them. Brisbane were a pretty open club. They were, they had to be, but they were, and that's how Fags has operated. So it'll be interesting to see how that pressure, how that builds with the information they give out over the coming weeks.
He might play the entire next half at full forward and kick 5.
I don't reckon he will, Q.
No, I don't reckon he's going to spend a minute there, mate. But it's an interesting point that you're making, Q. We all put a lot of preparation and time and whatnot into this, and I had a look at it, and
you're cheating the fans.
Well, one of the biggest notes
the fans now look at the game and look at the team, and the fans will then say, if Harris Andrews doesn't go anywhere near the forward line, the club lied to us on Friday with the teams. I don't think that's the way you want to be selling yourself.
That's probably true, Q, and I might lean on your side of the fence with regards to an attitude shift there. But look...
And he's going back to the goal square now, full back.
Yep. So there you go, on Josh Kennedy, who needs a decent full back on him just quietly with 700 goals to his name.
So essentially, the match committee's got a half to prove that they didn't lie to us with the information that came through official sources on Friday night.
Fair enough. Written and authorised by Quentin Hull. Looking forward to this second half, Q. You make a fair point, though, mate. We do take it reasonably seriously here. 5-6-36, the Brisbane Lions. 1-1-7, the Eagles. 29 points the margin at half-time.
We'll see how the Eagles go here, whether they can maintain the rage and that intensity that they play with in the first half. It's going to be hard to do for the second half, and whether Brisbane can step up their intensity around the ball a little bit more and give them some easier shots on goal.
36 inside 50s to 18 in the first half. And the Lions only ran about 37% as far as their conversion rate inside 50. Eagles down at 18% with only 3 scores or 3 shots out of 18 inside 50. So that's at an all-time low as well. Plenty for the Eagles to do with a score line of 1-1-7 at half-time.
Still counting about 5 seconds before the bounce. Everyone's in place, but got to wait for the countdown and dance cams on the big screen. Just thought I'd lighten the mood before we get into this.
I wonder why Price was
very serious second half.
I was just moving a little bit there as McInerney wins the ruck contest. No, he doesn't. It's stolen off him by Jamison, who toes it forward. Now Starcevic in front of Ryan. Gathers, gets the handball back to Answorth, tackled by Cripps. He's still got the handball away. Lions under enormous pressure. It was Jackson Pryor who's dragged off the ball, and it goes towards the boundary line. Starcevic versus Waterman. It's going to be a throw in 40 metres out from the West Coast goal, and they've started this third quarter in sprightly fashion.
Brisbane trying to make it 7 wins from 8. The Eagles just the 1 win so far this season, coming against Collingwood in Melbourne a month or so ago. Boundary throw in. McInerney got 1-2 touches, couldn't control, stolen by West of the Eagles. He's tackled, pinched by Rich of Brisbane. Hand pass clears the stoppage. Got it by hand to Bailey from half-back, kick to the wing, over the back of the pack. Barris first to meet it, tackled by McCarthy, no Pryor. And a ball up. Good clamp from Link, who hasn't really been all that prominent so far tonight. Ball tossed in the air. McInerney double fists it straight towards the boundary line. Insufficient intent, is it? No, going to be boundary throw in again. Nope, throw in.
I'm with you, Q.
Where was the rover?
On the bench, by the looks of things. The ball thrown in on the outer side. McInerney gets the front position. Jamison buffeted him out of the way, did well. Redden now handballs it back to Gaff. He tumbles it towards Darling, spoiled by Leicester. The ball falls into the arms of Answorth. Handball back to Starcevic, now onto the run of Daniel Rich. A long left foot kick, and that's a good grab. Taken on the outer wing by Oscar McInerney. Sweeping left-hand handball to play on. To Pryor, inside 50. Payne, it was Rayner who was buffeted out of it. Hearn picks it up. He just tumbles one outside defensive 50. Jamison dives towards it, and McInerney lets him. And the ball spills over the boundary at left half forward. Scrappy stuff there. 2 minutes into the third term, it's still the Lions by 29 points.
Boundary throwing out on that southern side. Expecting around 23,000 fans tonight. A bit of rain about and all the doom and gloom over the Eagles' form. I think the locals just expecting it'll be a cakewalk tonight as McCarthy is tackled at the bottom of that pack and locked up. No clearance. It was a nice tackle applied by Jones, the ex-Cat. Jamison with a tap down for West Coast at right half back. From Cripps to Redden, his hand pass into the chop, comes free, and Neal picks up for Brisbane. Hand pass to Lions, toe poke to half forward, intercepted by Gaff of West Coast. Hand pass stolen though by Lions of Brisbane through the hands of Neal. Gave it to McInerney, kick to full forward, and Barris in front. Big piece, not paid. West Coast balls anyway as Redden clicks from the back pocket back out to the wing, but Starcevic marks for Brisbane.
He turns it back inside to the corridor, hits the centre circles, and Adams, who wants to play on and kick long. Inside 50, Barris comes out, off his hands, storming through that pack, McCluggage, handball to Payne. He dribbles one out, back to Daniel Rich, lowers the eyes and goes across the arc. Hits his teammate in Lockie Neal at the true centre-half forward position. He'll have a shot directly in front, but from a long way out, Matty Primus.
Yeah, I like Brisbane's movement. They won the ball back and then they switched the ball to try and come in from a different angle rather than just going straight line where West Coast were dining out on those long balls. So better movement there by Brizzy.
Oh, Lockneil sees something he likes, pops it up to the top of the square. The big fly there from Rayner, and waiting down Jack Payne, dribbles at the big fella, and that is his first goal in AFL footy. The big boy from Noosa, in the role of Rover, dribbles it through, gets the Lions 6-6-6-42, plays 1-1-7, 4 minutes gone, third turn, Grandstone AFL. Michael Price with Quentin Hull, your expert, Matty Primus.
A great finish from the big fella, made the contest in the air, the ball just fumbled down towards his feet. He was quick enough to get his foot to it and it rolled through. But as I said, I mentioned like West Coast won the ball, they Barras marked it, they kicked it back out, Brisbane won it. First few inside 50s, they just banged it back in Brizzy, which suited West Coast defenders. The third time, they switched the ball to the open side, then were able to get an easier look with Neal. Even though it was still a contested ball, their inside 50s were a little bit neater there because they were able to shift West Coast defence.
Game 16 in the AFL career of the big man from the Sunshine Coast, and he's got a goal to show for it.
He is a big man too, isn't he?
Oh, very broad-shouldered, strong-looking footballer, Jack Payne. 35 points the lead to Brisbane. Alarm bells now for West Coast. Duggan comes in to apply a strong tackle at the stoppage. Doesn't need it. It's a free kick out the back as Redden was held, and he will get the free kick for West Coast. Just forward of centre-half back. Chipping pass marked by Duggan on the edge of the centre square. Liam Duggan, one of 9 premiership players out there tonight for the Eagles, chips it out to the wing marked by McGovern. He's one of them. This guy's not. The next guy on the line, Florenka. Jake Florenka, South Fremantle, top-up player among COVID chaos. Game 1 and going all right. That's possession 11 with a chip infield back to Duggan. His kick to the centre square, marked by Redden. He's still on halfway, Jack Redden. Kick to half forward, Jamison takes the mark. Kick and a half from goal for the big ruckman. Plays on. Long ball to full forward. Ryan flying, can't mark. At ground level, free kick given away by Cripps, holding the jumper of Marcus Adams.
You mentioned Florenka. There is a great opportunity with West Coast, as bad as the injury list is, for a couple of those guys who perhaps didn't think they were going to get a game to make a start of their career and make a name for himself early in this year.
Along with those disposals too, Florenka with the 11 touches, he's had the 4 tackles, so he's getting involved in all facets as Neal kicks it to centre-half back and finds Zach Bailey. Once again, controlling the tempo of the game. The umpire wants to get him to move on though, so he plays on with Petrevski Seaton on the mark. Tumbles it inside the centre square to the circles. Duggan Got it back to Barris. Now handball to Redden. Under a lot of pressure, they've turned it over. Rayner, he's under a hell of a lot of pressure too. He can't quite pick it up, so he decides to barrel back in, get it, and give it to Rich. Then to Lincoln McCarthy, who lowers the eyes and hits Charlie Cameron 40 metres out, but it's an angle to the left. And what a great second effort from Cam Rayner there, Matty Primus, to get that ball out of congestion.
Yeah, he's been very good tonight, hasn't he? He stands out in the clinches and also when he goes forward. And once again, that's another inside 50 where it's been a lot more clinical than what it was in the first half.
40 inside 50s to 20, it's double the figure. Charlie Cameron with a couple of goals to start the second quarter. He's got 3 all up. Gets under this one. It's straight as a die for 4 for Charlie Cameron.
Play the music.
Q John Denver, 7-6-48 to 1-1-7. We played 7 minutes 15 of the third quarter. Grandstand AFL. Michael Price, Quentin Hull and Matty Primus is your expert. Where's Jason Ackermanis gone? He's going to get the pie.
He's trying to change the tunes. He's trying to get some other John Denver hits, I reckon.
Well, that's 4 for Cameron. And almost a throwback to 2019 where he was the target.
Man, yep.
In that run that the Lions made to the top 4 that year.
Well, they struggle to have a mismatch for him, Q, don't they? They've got the tools that are great at defending, but they don't have that small defender. And he's had a bit of space tonight too. And when I don't care what defender you got, when you got a bit of space inside 450 against Charlie Cameron, you're in trouble.
Cameron's gone to the bench for a rest. Dan McStay out with an ankle injury. Centre bounce. McInerney clean possession. Tackled though by Edwards. Turned over. West Coast ball. Kelly picks up. Kicks the Eagles from the centre towards half forward. Off the pack. Goes to ground. Piotrowski-Seton chasing with Leicester. Tackles him. Oh, slung him apparently. Free kick goes to Ryan Leicester at right half back.
Yeah, I just thought a strong tackle. Momentum by both of them just came to the ground, but
too rough.
Yeah.
Matt, too rough. Leicester chips backwards. Marked by Starcevic. Starcevic chips it to Zorko. Zorko plays on, turns it over. Well, the kick went to the feet of Kelly, couldn't handle it. Picked up by Leicester with Brisbane at half back. Hands to McCluggage. He hands to Zorko. Runs to the bullseye. Chips to the prolific petrol region of Jack Payne. Marks it. 2 kicks from goal. Long, deep entry to the pocket. Rayner flying from a long way back. Barris was well placed to ensure it goes out of play for a boundary throw in the left forward pocket for Brisbane. 41 points the lead to the Lions at 7-6-48 to West Coast's 1-1-7.
You know who Payne reminds me of? Big Jamie Charman, who used to play against.
Yeah, big broad bone.
Similar face, yeah. Just big, angry man.
Throw in and McCluggage, Rose. He floats one to the top of the square. It's dealt with by the Eagles' defence. Nicely picked up by Duggan. Handball over the top. It could have been a free kick there. McGovern. Hearn still hemmed into the pocket, goes laterally across to the goal square. Gee whiz, it's Jermaine Jones who's taken the mark inside the goal square. It's a dangerous kick to try and transfer the ball. Off hands, picked up by Link McCarthy, floating it forward. Darcy Fort brings it to ground, tackled by Hearn. Ball spills now still inside attacking 50 for the Lions. Lockie Neal tracks it back. He can't pick it up. Good defence from the Eagles. Desperate stuff as Gaff stands and delivers a long left footer towards half back. Umpire calls play on as the ball hits the deck. Zorko fighting for it there for Brisbane. It's tapped back inside attacking 50. And it's Hearn just picking it up, giving it to Gaff, and the crowd stopped, the umpire stopped, and the players did duly as well as Harry Edwards takes the ball over the boundary line. It's attritional stuff out there. It's sloppy, but it has been raining here and it's a little bit greasy here at the Gabba.
Lions leading by 41 points. Ball tossed in with West Coast in attack. Brisbane in attack. Cleaned up by Kelly at the foot of the pack for West Coast. Hand pass to Gaff. Hand pass to Duggan at right half back. He's kicked down the wings, intercepted by Starcevic of Brisbane. Chips in field, marked by Neal. Neal kicks towards McCluggage in the middle of the ground. Late arriving spoil from Piotrowski-Seton that goes to deck and is locked up in the willing sandwich of Ryan Leicester and Florenka, who's having a go.
read that well. Starcevich came off his man and cut that fast play off for West Coast.
Clean possession, McInerney from the ruck. Hand passes to half forward. No one there for Brisbane. Waterman taps it to the advantage of Jones of West Coast. Takes on Jared Berry's tackle. Gets caught. And the umpire says that's a ball up. Yet he looked at the oncoming man and forced contact. I'm getting more confused by this rule every week, Matt.
Well, yeah, I am too. And what also happens a little bit in the lesser games, which this was because of West Coast, they do get the inexperienced umpires, and we're certainly seeing a bit of that tonight.
Oh, it was a kick down the outer side. Darling brought it down to ground. Well done to the big eagle. Now it goes to Winder. Handball back to Cripps, but he put him under a fair bit of pressure, and he's taken over the boundary line. Actually, it's going to be a free kick. No, it's not. He's taken that back. He was just having a conversation with the boundary umpire. So it will be a throw-in front of the Brisbane Lions bench on the Stanley Street side of the ground. Shallow throw-in, McInerney. Pushed out of it by Edwards, but roving was Jared Lyons. He's pulled off the ball. Jared Berry dives in there. Now into McLuggage. He ran over the top of the pill, hacking it out there and doing well was Naish. He just towed it forward. Now it's in the air. Harris Andrews deals with it effectively. At ground level, it's hooked back inside 50. Lions have got the numbers here. Kalarchi's going to track back, gather the ball and deliver it to the lead of McCarthy,
who just couldn't get there. Half volleyed at his toes, so he shunted it down the wing. Makes body contact there with Duggan. Hand passes it over his head to try and keep it in and can't though. Boundary throw in. You're just thinking about your comparison of Jack Payne with Jamie Charman, Matt Primus. The thing about Jack Payne, I'm sure he hasn't dabbled in the commercial side of men's grooming, as was a part of...
Handsome man, Big Emu.
Acker's back, by the way.
I found my way back. It was an absolute miracle.
A maze behind us.
Throw in on the wing. Florenka with the clearance for West Coast. Hand passes to Redden. Kick to half forward. Kennedy's got 3 to beat. Can't do so, but brings it to deck. Whistle. Free kick going Brisbane's way.
Oof.
And it's against Petrevsky-Seaton. And Noah Answorth, the recipient.
A little bit soft, that one. But we'll take it.
Answorth in field to Adams. Marks. Holds up at right half back. 13.5 third term. Brisbane by 41.
He just measures a 15-metre pass straight up to Pryor. Again, 15-metre pass finds Jared Lyons closer to the boundary line, and he generates a nice little pass to Thomas Berry, the medical sub who's been activated for Dan McStay, who looks like a left ankle. It didn't look too good in replay. We'll find out more about that, but he's been subbed out of the game. Now Kadeem Coleman. So they're just content to hold the ball, Brisbane, gather up these possessions. They're plus 30 in the disposal count at the minute, and plus 19 in the inside 50. Long kick from Coleman in the Payne direction. Fisted away from him. Archie roved. Handball to McInerney. The big slipper into the ball. Roved by McLuggage. Handball to Tom Berry. Dribbling effort towards the goal square to his brother. And it went through the legs. Nutmegged him for a point. 7-7-49. Plays 1-1-7. 42 points the margin. The Lions lead after 15 of the third term grandstand AFL.
I'm going to do West Coast a favour in a second by mentioning some of the miscellany around their lowest ever scores. They're 1-1 at the moment, early in the third term. On one occasion in their history, they only kicked 1 goal in a game. I'll tell you about it in a moment. In the pocket, Foley kicks them out towards the wing. I know I'm going off early, but I'm trying to change the flow of the game. That doesn't work because Starcevich roves out on the wing for Brisbane, kicks them back to half forward. McCarthy roves the pack on 50, hand pass to Zorko, chip over the head of Payne, spoiled by Barris. McGovern mops up in the pocket for the Eagles. He kicks to half back and West takes the grab.
Jeez, that's a good pass.
West on defensive 50. Kicks to Cripps, marks, hand passes to the running Jones. A bounce through the middle of the Gabba. His left foot kick marked by Winder. He hand passes it back to Jones. Jones on the left. There you go. Mention records. Oh, it's touched on the line.
Nearly cute.
It was going right through the middle until a late touch from the Lions defence means West Coast still only has 1 goal. They're 1-2-8, trailing Brisbane's 7-7-49.
Like Winder. Jeez, he's a find. He can play that boy.
He's got some smooth moves, hasn't he? Oh, speaking of which, Liam Ryan snuck up behind Kitty Coleman like a thief in the night. Tackled him, holding the ball. Liam Ryan will have a shot 30 metres out directly in front.
Which means I've got to use this stat now because he'll kick the goal. So unfortunately, coming into this game, we had to look at these things. West Coast's lowest ever score was 1 goal 12, which they kicked against Essendon at Windy Hill in 1989.
Oh, stinking joint.
And thinking of the great Indigenous forwards that this club has produced, the man who kicked the goal on that occasion was Chris Lewis.
Now to the hoots of the Gabba crowd, Liam Ryan comes in and kicks his second goal and the Eagles' second goal.
The reverse Moz works every time.
7-7-49, Brisbane 2-2-14. The Eagles 35 points the margin. We played 16 and a half minutes of the third quarter. Michael Price with Quentin Hull and your experts on Grandstand AFL, Jason Ackermanis and Matty Primus.
There was Windy Hill in the late 80s. The West Coast. Imagine the crowd there, Acker.
With the quagmire too.
Winter.
Imagine how deep those crevices would have been. But I tell you, a little bit of lack of awareness there from Coleman and Liam Ryan just snuck up on. He's too quick, Liam, and just not getting on the left slipper. That said, how many times I actually played in a game, Matty, where I kicked half our total score, which was 2 goals. We actually kicked 4 goals down at the Whitten Oval. It was that
Whitten Oval, that was a bad place.
That was a bad place. Same thing. So anyway, he's got.
Well, look, it's
90% of their score. Is that not right? How's my maths?
Well, yeah, 2-2. He's kicked 12 of the 14 points. Jason, centre of the ground. Kelly with the clearance for West Coast. He's kicked, though, down the throat of Rich at half-back. It was a Rust hoping kick from Kelly, and Rich well placed to mark for Brisbane. His kick back to half-back, pretty cute and poor. Went through the hands of his intended target, picked up by Kelly, hand pass to Petrevsky Seaton, hands it to Jones, hands it to West, running across 50, hands it back to Kelly, 52 out, drops it on his boot and hits the chest of Ryan, leading and marking.
That percentage
30 metres out.
That percentage is going to go up, Quentin.
We might have turned things here.
You have, mate.
Tongue firmly in cheek. But this is positive signs for West Coast. 1 goal through, well, the best part of 2.5 quarters, but a chance for 2 goals in the space of a minute as Liam Ryan lines up for his third to narrow the margin to 29 points. Man of his class should kick the goal, and he does. Ryan's got 3, and the Eagles are finding something in the third term here at the Gabba. It's Brisbane 7-7-49 to West Coast's 3-2-20, and Ryan has 3.
His shoulders must be sore, but all of a sudden, Matty, they are not out of the game. It's only 4 goals, 5, I know, but a quarter and a half to go.
Well, it gives them something to look forward to, doesn't it? The coach would have said, hey, if we keep going, we'll hang around, and you never know what can happen. They've actually won a bit of ball in their front half, so instead of trying to come from their back line all game, which they have, which is bloody difficult to do, they've done it really well by winning the tackle on Coleman there in the forward 50, and then Kelly, beautiful kick in their front half there to Liam Ryan. So if they can win more of that, they've got enough talent up their forward 50 to have shots on goal.
Well, now Brisbane need to work out how we get through it, because now they've turned it over twice. It's not working, this little chip to try and break up that zone.
Well, I know Doug Nichols' round's still a couple of rounds away, but Cameron with 4 and Ryan with 3 tonight.
And Zorko with the clearance for the middle for Brisbane. Straight inside 50. Came off hands. Hearn tackled into the ground, picked up there by Jones. He tumbles it inside the centre square. Kadeen Coleman taken high. Will get the free kick. Jack Darling just sort of reached him down and tapped him on the ponce.
First time I've seen his hair move.
50 metres.
Now it's 50 metres now. I'm not quite sure what that was for. I think Jack Darling may have
moved, but the umpire.
I'd like to see the replay on that. And again, that rule, why don't they just change it to 25 metres? That's a really harsh penalty for a guy that pretty much only took half a step, if at all.
That's a good 50 too. You wouldn't mind buying some real estate there.
Oh, they can come work for me.
Sign him up, Acker.
Oh, Ascot, I tell you.
He's going to have, that's your freebie. Straight down the middle.
That's a Bow Desert 50 metres. Ascot 50 metres gets you 10, doesn't it?
It does get you stuff all.
So Kadeen Coleman, he's going to have a shot directly in front. Let go from 45. On the left foot, as smooth as you like. Have a go at that from Kadeen Coleman. 8-7-55, the Brisbane Lions back out to a 35-point margin, 3-2-20, and we played 20 and a half of the third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Halfway through the third term at Docklands, it's Hawthorn 9 goals 12-66, leading Essendon 6-7-43, the Hawks by 23 points.
That was an absolute gift too, and we just have a look. We can see on the replay, you can see. How would you describe that? It looks like he sort of half remonstrated, tried to go forward, Matty.
Yeah, well, it looked like the umpire called him back to go on the mark, and he just kept on coming back. So, geez, it's a
He was
glad I'm not playing anymore, Acker.
Yeah, he was 2 metres back from the mark.
Yeah.
It looked like he even half demonstrated. I don't know what he was remonstrating for. He's like, can I go forward or not? And then they paid a 50. So for Coleman, though, is that his first for the night?
Yep. First of the night for Kadeem Coleman,
Nice.
and first of the season. His third game back from a pre-season hamstring injury.
That's a gift and a half.
Centre bounce. Brisbane leading by 35 points. Nice tap from Fort. Beyond the congestion, Neil Crumbs. Hand passes to Lyons. Hand passes to Zorko. Kick from the circle towards full forward. Rayner nudges Hearn out of the way, and doesn't he love that? Takes the mark at the drop. Shannon Hearn is disgusted with himself.
Yeah, it's a good effort to move Hearn, isn't it?
And that could have easily been a free kick. He just kept pushing. He's so strong, Rayner. I told you, he's looked dangerous all night. He could be the answer. They only need one more tour to come back in. And Eric, I reckon they might have a pretty potent forward line if he can kick a few more this year.
1-2 so far tonight for Rayner. Straight in front, 40 out, right foot. Fine finish from a player that just looks like he is starting to get humming after a year on the sidelines. Game high or near on. 42 points is the game high lead. That's now a 41-point lead with Brisbane answering those 2 goals from Leon Ryan. And it's 9-7-61 to 3-2-20. Opening up a bit, gentlemen.
Well, Brisbane have just gone back to their one-wood. They're just dominating the centre bounce the last 2 or 3 times, which is what they've done this year. Whenever under the pump, they've gone back to that area and they've been able to get inside 50 and kick goals, and they've done that on the last 2 occasions.
But it's about the marks inside 50. You can see there, I just saw the replay, not even in the back, if you don't mind there, umpire Rayner. Rayner just pushed him nicely in the side. Not easy to do. He's a very strong man. And I played on him when I played. I retired 12 years ago. How long has he been playing?
This is his 17th season, Jason. That's the answer to your question.
It's a lot of seasons.
Back into the middle. Lockie Neal gets the clearance and it sits on the chest of Charlie Cameron inside the centre square. Doubling back, Shannon Hearn. Took a magnificent defensive mark, going back with the flight at the top of the goal square and delivers a pinpoint pass to Waterman at left half back. He goes across the arc and finds his bearded teammate in Josh Rotham, who just holds it up.
Crowd not happy with that. That was 6 metres.
Yeah, it's a very, very short kick. Another one was probably just a little longer to Duggan, so they're just only 60 metres outside.
That's not.
Duggan, a 7.5 metre kick, I'll call that. Goes back to Jermaine Jones inside defensive 50. They transferred it to the outer side of the ground. Shannon Hearn again. He tries to measure a pass. It was a good lead from Liam Ryan, a long way up the ground, just forward of right half back for the Eagles.
So Ryan, who has kicked for 3 goals, he's just forward of right half back at the moment, has to look infield to McGovern with the chip. Marks, he kicks it down the wing, precise stuff.
This is more like West Coast, isn't what we've been used to the last couple of years at the moment.
Possession.
Yep. Gaff marks and chips it to West. He's been pretty good so far, the Joondalup product.
Great place, part of the world there.
Golf track.
Good golf there.
On the wing, Connor West for West Coast. Kicks to attacking 50 in a big pack. Went to ground, Fort Rose for Brisbane. Toes it to the advantage of Jared Lyons. Hands it to Bailey. Bailey's chip marked by Zorko in the middle of the ground. He wants to move it quickly. Does. Chips it to Archie between wing and half forward. Marks, turns, kicks to the lead of McCarthy. Marks at 45 out. Tough angle about 10 in from the boundary on the left half forward flank.
How many touches has he had, Q?
And he's been quiet. This will be disposal 10. Well, quiet by his standards in that he hasn't. Usually, if he has 10 touches, there's a score among them.
Yeah, 2 or 3 goals. But their deep spare was way too deep. They should have been up the field there, West Coast. But anyway, they are having a long, wide shot for goal. And I suppose that's what West Coast want you to do. If you're going to have a shot, you might as well be out there.
Fort tracking down to the goal mouth. As McCarthy, as he got the journey from 50 metres out, he has missed that by a mile. Oohs and the ahs of the crowd. That was headed into the shrubbery off the tee.
That is
near side, out of bounds on the full. Free kick, West Coast in the right back pocket. Brisbane leading by 41 points, about 3.5 minutes to three-quarter time.
He's going the extra distance and hooking it wildly there, Link McCarthy. Starcevic with the big fly from that injection. It goes through his hands, rowed by Connor West, doing beautifully for the Eagles. He chips it forward. Cripps made a meal of it. Went through his hands. Adams got it back to Harris Andrews for Brisbane. He just goes back inside defensive 50 to Rich. He promotes it forward to Lyons. Lyons to the wing by foot. Great kick finds Jackson Pryor just short of centre wing on the Vulture Street side. Lions by 41 points.
Do you guys play against his dad?
Michael Lyons.
Michael Pryor, who also...
Michael Pryor, absolutely.
Yeah, here's a good ball from Rich to the centre of the ground, marked by Answorth. Kicks deep to full forward. Great work from Darling getting back as McInerney was looking dangerous. Darling got on the hole to punch it out of play.
Is that Michael Pryor, isn't it?
Yes,
and West Coast Eagle.
And West Coast.
He could jump.
Geez, when did he have kids? When he was 15? He doesn't seem that old, does he? He was my age, I'm sure.
It's a rangy sort of...
Yeah, I remember he was 15, number 15.
Good jump, wasn't he?
He was a good player, yeah. No, I tell him up one day, but don't worry about that.
Well, Jackson's only 20. So.
Oh, that's right then. He must have been 20 himself when he had him. Doesn't seem that old.
I don't know how old Michael is.
25 he would have had to be to have him, because he'd be my age.
There you go. Footy players, you just know.
I know, mate. We make too much money, so we have kids earlier.
Jack Darling, 15 metres.
It's a known stat, that one, Pricey.
Well, I've got nothing. I absolutely have zero on that.
I knew we might get a bit ragged tonight, but Acker's taken us there very early. Just hold fire, Jace.
Sorry.
Florenka doing a beautiful job in his debut, fighting hard, but unfortunately turned it over in the middle of the ground. The Eagles. Neil puts it there to Bailey at half forward. He sees somebody out of the corner of his eye. It's Archie. That wasn't the distance. Ordered the play on. He kicks it to the top. Oh! Charlie Cameron jumped on everybody's melon and dropped the ball. The ball spills now. Naish gets it back to Hearn and delivers a pinpoint pass to Cripps, just short of centre wing.
Cripps chips to Redden. Marks in front of his old teammate, Dan Rich. They would have played a fair bit of footy together.
Off.
And Redden chips it infield. Marked by Petrevski-Seaton. His left knee heavily bandaged.
That is some hairdo too, I'll just say.
Shaved sides and a pretty strong mop on top as he weaves around Bailey. Chip looking for Cripps, spoiled by Pryor. Roved though by Duggan. Hand pass put his man Florenka under pressure. It comes free, kicked off the dewy turf. Won't go out of play. Naish is going to track it on the northern wing and pick it up for West Coast. He got smashed. Kicks it back to half forward, through the pack, out the back. Waterman somehow gets it. Hand pass to Foley, who dropped it. Kicked it off the ground, though, to the advantage of Jones. Picks it up 50 out. Kick to a 2-on-1 in the pocket, West Coast way. And Barris is there to mark.
What's he doing down there, the big fella? Jeez, that's a good grab.
Great mark, wasn't it? Wet.
The old full-back to full-forward move.
Ah, well, they have done it tonight, though.
Not yet for
the other team.
West Coast did.
Barris decides to chip infield. Not 15. Kennedy took it. Up says no. The real estate seems different depending on which jumper you're wearing. And he's been penalised for holding the ball far out.
You can see the guy in the crowd go, why did you kick it there?
You know, real estate, it's all location.
Yes, exactly. Michael, well done you. Between us, we've got a Saturday night thing going.
It's happening.
That was... anyway, now Zorko's got it at full back. Let's do the whole reset. 29 minutes. Oh, there we go. Thank heavens. Three-quarter time saves us. Three-quarter time at the Gabba. And Brisbane leading by 41 points. They've extended through every term. It was 15 at quarter time, 29 at half time, and now 41 points at three-quarter time. Brisbane kicking 4 goals, 1 to West Coast's 2 goals, 1 in that term. Charlie Cameron has kicked 4 goals. Cam Rayner has kicked 2 goals. And the singles to McCluggage, Coleman and Payne. Jack Payne kicking his first goal in league footy in that term in his 16th game. While for West Coast, Liam Ryan, all 3 goals.
How many times do you reckon you have to call that, Q?
Oh, I don't know.
One guy has kicked, at three-quarter time, has kicked all their goals.
Well, there's only 3 of them. I don't have the stat readily at hand.
That would be a good stat if you never remember that one. That's a ripper.
Well, we'll wait and see if he can kick a few more. 41 points, the lead to Brisbane at three-quarter time. Let's check Docklands. About 2 minutes to three-quarter time there. Still a tight enough contest. It's a 9-point lead for Hawthorn. The Hawks 9-12-66 over Essendon's 8-9-57. Leads us to the run-in through today's other results. Cats by 53 over the Giants. Suns by 14 over the Swans, and the Tigers by 27 over Collingwood. In the National Rugby League, the late finishing game is not over yet. Cowboys have come back, lead that one with 10 minutes to go. North Queensland 30 over Newcastle 16. Earlier today, Roosters 44, Titans 16. Sea Eagles 36, Tigers 22. In the Super Rugby, the Crusaders starting to accelerate away at Perth Oval. I assume they're playing there tonight. Apologies if I've got that wrong. Crusaders are playing the Western Force, lead by 40 points to 15. Earlier, the Tars beat Moana Pacifica 26-20, and the Brumbies went across the ditch and beat the Chiefs 38 points to 28. Here, Brisbane, 41 to the good of West Coast, three-quarter time. Your Saturday night footy coming to you via the national broadcaster and Grandstand AFL.
I can feel the excitement building all week. In between work, family, all the other things that keep me busy. It's always in the back of my mind. And before you know it, the ABC has the footy on the radio again.
Doherty on his comeback from cancer. They come from everywhere. Buddy Franklin, a legend, joins the Immortals.
Light up your week with the best call in the game.
Grandstand AFL.
AFL.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital. The 2022 AFL Premiership Season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Pops it up to the top of the square. The big fly there from Rayner. And waiting down Jack Payne. Dribbles at the big fella. And that is his first goal in AFL footy. Gets the Lions 6th. Rayner, he's under a hell of a lot of pressure too. He can't quite pick it up, so he decides to barrel back in, get it, and give it to Rich. Then to Lincoln McCarthy, who lowers the eyes and hits Charlie Cameron 40 metres out. Charlie Cameron with a couple of goals to start the second quarter. He's got 3 all up. Gets under this one. It's straight as a die for 4 for Charlie Cameron.
Hands it to West, running across 50, hands it back to Kelly, 52 out, drops it on his boot and hits the chest of Ryan, leading and marking. 1 goal through the best part of 2.5 quarters, but a chance for 2 goals in the space of a minute as Liam Ryan lines up for his third to narrow the margin to 29 points. Man of his class should kick the goal, and he does. Ryan's got 3, and the Eagles are finding something in the third term here at the Gabba. Neil Crumbs, hand passes to Lyons, hand passes to Zorko. Kick from the circle towards full forward. Rayner nudges Hearn out of the way, and doesn't he love that? 1-2 so far tonight for Rayner. Straight in front, 40 out, right foot. Fine finish.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership Season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It's round 8 and things tracking as expected at the Gabba as we welcome you back to Grandstand AFL's coverage of this fixture between Brisbane and West Coast. Quentin Hull, Michael Price, your 2 callers. Jason Ackermanis and Matt Primus, your 2 experts. Zane Bojak's eagle eye on the boundary's been keeping us across things down there, where the news of earlier tonight was a further injury blow to Brisbane's key forward stocks, losing Joe Danaher last week to a shoulder injury. Daniel McStay has been subbed out with a left ankle injury, the extent of which we will wait to see, but he certainly cut a forlorn figure when leaving the field in the first term. On the scoreboard, though, it's tracked pretty comfortably for the Lions, leading by 15 points at quarter time, 29 at half time, and now 41 at three-quarter time. And it looks as if it's going to be 7-1 for Brisbane and 1-7 for West Coast. But let's get our thoughts from Matt Primus and Jason Ackermanis. What can you draw from the 3 terms of footy we've seen?
Well, Matty, I think the pressure has been, this is the best I've seen them in 3 weeks, the West Coast Eagles, as far as the defensive side, where at least they're looking like they've got some real, fleet of foot to make those tackles, which is important. However, I think if you look at it with their talent out, their talent in, a few of their talents playing well, some aren't. We know that they're undermanned. But if you're a coach, and you've been a coach and I've been a coach, if you can get that effort going, you actually give yourself some hope for next week and the week after that you're going to actually make a good account of yourself.
Well, you can do something, can't you? If you've got some spirit and some hope and they're contesting and having a crack, you can actually sell, let's try this and let's do this, and if you do this, we can kick some goals. But if you don't have any of that, everything else goes out the window, and they've definitely bought that tonight.
Before the final term, Zane Bojak on the boundary.
Yeah, interesting to see how Liam Ryan goes. He got a lot of treatment at the back end of that quarter queue. That's why Barras went up forward. He's got a bit of a contusion just below his hip on the right side, but I think he can still run okay.
They hurt. I tell you, they hurt.
And Harris Andrews is starting at full-back at the start of the final term.
Jamison gets up high for the Eagles, taps it down, sharked by Zorko. High kick towards left half forward. It bounces awkwardly for Payne. Well read by McGovern, who tracks back, gathers. Handball to Duggan. went one way and decided to go central through the corridor. Connor West, who's had a good game, gets it through Redden, through Jamieson, back to Gaff. Under a bit of pressure, though, he retreats. And it goes back to Rotham, who skies at the wing, and that was reasonably uncontested to Waterman, just short of the wing. He tries to go laterally, and Zorko picked it off. Handball now to Neal, to McLuggage, to Payne, sweeping back to Neal in the middle of the ground, lowering the eyes. It just drops short of Link McCarthy, who applies a good tackle to Jones. Ball spills now, still inside, attacking 50 for Brisbane. Towed out by the Eagles. Zorko, handball to McLuggage, tackled there by Jermaine Jones, still gets a kick away. It's across the paint of 50, the Eagles applying the pressure.
And Ryan's there weaving a path at half back. Hand passes to Duggan and finally some space, but his kick was too hot over the head of Nation. It skims out of play, and we'll see a boundary throw in. After all of that heavy traffic, the Eagles got some space and mucked up the exit. Zane?
Oh, look, I tell you what, you think it's slippery out there. Harris Andrews just ran onto the logo over here near the interchange bench, slipped over 3 times, then went to ground, got up again and slipped over again. He couldn't get over it.
Boundary throw in. Nash with the clearance for the Eagles. High ball from left half back to the middle of the ground. Darling underneath got knocked off it. So too did Ryan of West Coast. And the ricochet ends up in the hands of Neal of Brisbane. Hand passes to the wing. Time for Starcevic to see it bounce before gathering. He kicks a low ball gathered by Zorko. He along the turf, a skimmer. Picked up by Payne on 50. Hand pass infield to McCluggage. Tight angle, 40 out. Finish of class from Hugh McCluggage for his second of the night.
Very good goal. Good tackling pressure. Oh, what about those couple of passes? I don't reckon they went about a foot off the ground, Q. Those last two.
Brisbane 10-7, 67. West Coast 3-2, 20. You know who Hugh McCluggage reminds me of a bit, Akar?
Who's that?
Your old teammate Simon Black, with no disrespect. One of the greatest players who was one of the worst set shots.
It's very good
compared
on the
to his talents.
Yes.
And Hugh McCluggage, well, he's still got a bit more of his career to go through, but he's a bit like Blackie. Doesn't like the set shots.
Yeah, but geez, look at that though. If you look at that finish from behind the goals, that is splits the middle. Supreme shot. It reminded me of you back in the day there.
You're kidding yourself.
and all of a sudden, after a middling performance of it, Lachie Neal's got 27 touches, 6 tackles and 4 centre bounce clearances. Another one there. Towed off the deck by Daniel Rich into the centre circles. Zorko, spearing ball, Bailey, pass, hitting Charlie Cameron.
Nothing they can do there.
35 metres out directly in front, Acker, and that was just superb.
That was brilliant. The little kick off the ground there got to Zorko. Zorko actually nearly confused himself. He had too many options. He didn't know which way to go. He could have gone a couple of little handballs there just to free it up, but then that short little kick ended up getting into this man's hands. And can we hear the song again, boys?
Oh, Charlie's got 4 straight from 8 disposals. From 50, good connection, but he's pulled it a little left, one behind. No John Denver. 10-8-68, plays 3-2-20. It is a 48-point margin game high with 3.5 gone, final term.
Yeah, it's sort of like it'll become cigar or no cigar. Do we get country road or no country road? And on that occasion, no country road.
Though that's a good, efficient night if you're kicking half your possessions of goals.
Yeah, 4-1. For Cameron as the Eagles control it from the inbound. Duggan chips it to half-back. Marked by Nation. He chips it to McGovern. Still on defensive 50. McGovern chips it to Rotham. Rotham at left half-back. Chips it around the boundary line to Redden. So a bit of keepings off here for West Coast. Redden's chip over the man on the mark. West is there claiming the mark. Ump says yes. Zork doesn't like it but stands the mark as he was the man opposing Connor West, who runs infield. And now here's the long kick to a contest at half forward. Kennedy and Jamieson both fly, neither mark. Rich roves and is immediately bear hugged by Darling, and the ball is locked up.
Serious hair going on there. How about that? There's more hair, I think, today than ever.
Tap down to Redden. Rush kick along the ground inside 50. Kennedy gathers near the boundary. Hand pass to Darling. Gives it back to Kennedy. 50 out centering ball. Waterman. 2 grab mark under pressure from Coleman. And he'll have a shot from 40 metres out.
That's better. They'd be happy with that, Nida.
Nice little kick there. I was disappointed. Liam Ryan got sore. He's playing up high. He's just put himself straight back to the goal square and told Brass to get up the ground. He's going to try and kick a few more, but Waterman might spoil the party here.
I think, how many goals have they kicked together, though? Kennedy and he's sort of he's almost underrated sidekick, I reckon.
Darling, super.
Yeah, he's just been such a good, consistent player over the years, those two.
Waterman, he's kicked the 2 goals this year. Right boot strike is across the face. And Liam Ryan has still kicked 100% of West Coast's goals tonight. It's 3-3-21 to Brisbane's 10-8-68. It's 5.5 final term.
And he's done that with only the 7 disposals, Liam Ryan as well.
I like to see the best and fairest voting.
It'd be interesting. 47 points the margin, nearly 6 gone final term. Marcus Adams in the back pocket for Brisbane. Sells a big dummy and went to go up the middle, sold another one and then floated a kick to Daniel Rich. A little junkie there, but Rich with an 8-metre kick that's paid the significant distance. Bailey plays on. That's a better pass. 15 metres at least. McCluggage still short of centre wing. McCluggage, classy mover. Beautiful kick. It's what you like to see. Onto the logo. Archie plays on. Goes and transfers it to the other side of the field. Jared Berry. Long kick from the point of the centre square. It's going back to the goal square, and it's Edwards who tracked back. It's going to be a free kick downfield, is it?
Free kick for a front on contact. No score.
No score at all.
They got that one right.
Still at 48 points, the Lions lead. It's a free kick to Edwards in the...
Hang on with Andrews. Has he had concussion down there or something?
He slipped over.
He's back.
He's back on. Yep. Edwards kicks it to right half back where Jack Redden's going to come up for stat 25 against his old club.
Harris Andrews is just slowly making his way to full forward.
He's almost
halfway there.
He's almost more games for the Eagles than Brisbane, but still slightly the other side, Redden, as he kicks down the line. Barris presenting, can't mark. Picked up by Archie, tackled by Kelly. Ball comes free and eventually over the line for a throw-in. Yeah, so 129 for Brisbane, and this is game 120 for West Coast.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Oh, he was one of those crew, unfortunately, that left in that big exodus. And Justin Lepage was coaching. It's a shame, really.
31-year-old and has been a good servant at both clubs.
Yes.
From the throw-in, slapped down. It was Florenka as well. He got the ball away. McCluggage threw him. The ball gets stuck under more of the players, and umpire Glucis comes in and says we'll ball it up at left half forward.
Score from Docklands. Hawthorn 10-14-74, leading Essendon 8-10-58. So a 16-point lead to the Hawks.
Here's Neil. The Lions by 47 points here at the Gabba. Inside 50, punched away from Rayner, rowed by Rotham. It's a dodgy handball coming out. Bailey was tackled. He let loose the ball. Could have been pinged. Gaff. Handball to Kelly, tumbling it towards the wing. Lions with a 3-on-1. Adams, sell the dummy to Liam Ryan. Handball, Hospital almost to Kadeen Coleman. He put him under pressure anyway. He got the handball back to Starcevic and laid a good shepherd on 2 Eagles as it was kicked forward. That was comical as Big Jack Darling's on the ground. He's okay though. And Florenka recovers, but transfers it across the 50-metre arc and cut off by the Lions. Cue Benny Hill music as Link McCarthy handballs it into space. Payne can't pick it up. McCluggage can, has a snap and has kicked 3. Don't give him a set shot. That is 3 ripping snaps. 11-8-74, plays 3-3-21. 53 points the margin. The Lions lead it. We played 9 minutes of the final term. Grandstand AFL.
Class. Can't substitute class, can you?
No, you can't. Well, they nearly made a meal of it back here. A couple of hospital passes there, but then just to get that open ball, just out of, if they could just have found the great Lockie Neal, they would have been out even quicker. But no, that is a good result for the Lions. They've been a bit scrappy at times, but you can't really complain in these kind of conditions, big fella.
That was a beautiful finish. Pressure on his outside towards the boundary line. A beautiful finish.
Matt Primus and Jason Ackerman as your experts on Grandstand AFL. It's now, starting to get a little ugly. 53 points the lead to Brisbane.
They've only got one guy who's kicked any of their goals.
But this is also a significantly better effort from the West Coast Eagles than we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but they've only kicked 3 goals. And that shows the mire that they're in injury-wise. As Petrovsky-Seaton with the extraction at the centre bounce. He's down and hurt after he got a hand pass to Waterman. Out towards the wing. It ends up in the hands of... Was that Mountford out there?
It was.
I think Connor West has been subbed out. I think Mountford the sub's in anyway. He's kicked it into attack and it's gone over the boundary line.
It was Mountford.
Yes, that's hence the moment it took me to just recognise.
So we've just been informed, yeah.
Yes, that Mountford is out there, the Kangaroo. So
played the 12 games with North Melbourne and picked up by the Eagles.
Throw in with West Coast in attack. Not sure why West has been subbed out. We'll get Zane on it in just a moment. Close to the boundary line, it's rumbled over by Answorth, so I'll see it thrown in again. What news of that, Zane?
Yeah, he's got a really bad cork on his right thigh. He's got ice on there at the moment. So, he got a lot of treatment, but he's been subbed out. He's just sitting at the back of at the bench.
21 disposals and 5 clearances for Connor West. A serviceable game for the Eagles as they get a clearance here. Oh, that's the best Falcon you've ever seen into the face of Brandon Starcevic. It rebounded 15 metres. The ball spills onto the arc. He gets up, Starcevic, tough unit with the Sharon in the face as Adams handballs it forward. Kadeem Coleman sensed the pressure. He got a handball to Fort, now back to the wing. Archie steadies things, chips it to Pryor, who in turn chips it to Zorko. He copped one from Big Edwards on the way down, but that won't worry the Zork. He's 70 from goal, left half forward. He's directing traffic. He just takes off onto his right now. Sharp kick to the top of the square. Big fly and at the back. Oh, here he is again. McLuggage. 4 goals and 4 beautiful pieces of roving.
That's pretty much 3 Brownlow votes right there, I'd say. It's good to kick goals in the last quarter.
You're a master of crumbing too, Acker. That was just a beautiful pattern to the front and centre of that contest, wasn't it?
Career best, first time he's kicked 4 in a game.
There you go.
12-8, 80 to 3-3-21 in front of 19,331 fans at the Gabba. It is a 59-point margin, 12 minutes gone, final term. Jason Ackermanis and Matthew Primus tell us how.
I am noticing, though, if you see the replay of that contest, you'll see a couple of Brisbane players just all of a sudden at the back of that contest. They're starting to get a very adventurous, just, we're going to get this, it's going to come over the back. That's the more aggression and the more, I suppose, you're thinking, I'm going to get a goal here, and all of a sudden it will backfire at some stage, but at the moment they're getting rewarded.
Yep.
Well, how long will the West Coast resistance last now as things are starting to unravel in the final term? It's near on 10 goals. The lead at 59 points, centre bounce towed forward by Lions of Brisbane. Whistle on play, West Coast free kick among that scrimmage, and it will be Jermaine Jones who was held off the ball by Tom Berry. Jones kicks it wide to Duggan, who marks and then kicks to Florenka. He's had a good night coming in the top up. Marks and chips it back in field to Jones. Kicks down the line to the leading Darling, spoiled away by Lester, who roves his own crumb. Hand passes to Bailey, hands it back to Coleman, and Coleman's chip is marked by Archie. It's Cal, of course. Brandon, so long a contributor for the Eagles, as Archie down the line with a chip to the mark of Tom Berry, the sub. 70 from goal, rolls and plays onto the pocket. Waterman leaves his man to get in front of the contest between Rotherham and Cameron and make an intercept mark. He kicks it towards right half back, and Winder takes the grab.
Isaiah Winder.
He's had a good day. He is a good player, this boy. They'll be pretty happy with his game.
In only his 3rd game of footy, boy from Peel Thunder, and it comes to Josh Kennedy in front of Oscar McInerney.
What's Archie had, Q?
He has had 17 disposals.
He just doesn't mess up. He just does a lot of nice things. Not a high possession winner, but always uses the ball really well and presents hard.
Always held in high regard by the Lions coaching staff and used in a number of roles. Nice mark taken by Luke Foley now. The Eagles just holding the ball up. They just don't want any more bleeding here when it comes to Tim Kelly on the commentary side, and he's held up, standing the mark. Adams, 45-degree kick, finds Cripps.
Liam Ryan.
Back to Foley. Here he goes. Ryan at the back, no. At the front, he roves. He has a ping. And he misses just to the right. He's a one-man highlight reel for the West Coast Eagles. 80 plays 22. It is now a 58-point margin. 14.5 gone final term. Quick play on from Brisbane Lions.
3 goals, 1 for Ryan as they get beyond defensive 50, untouched Brisbane. Zorko marks, chips to McCarthy, hand pass to Lions. Quick kick to the wing for Tom Berry, who now has to hold it up a little on halfway out there. Chips over the man on the mark, looking for Rayner. Well played Duggan to intercept and mark for West Coast. Chips it back to Hearn on the defensive point of the centre square. Switch from left half back out to right. Marked by Rotherham. Chip to Foley. He marks in space and kicks to the wing, looking for Winder, who goes back with the flight to Mark. Decides to roll on. Short pass for Cripps. Mark's in space on the flank.
He's still running, wind up.
He almost ran
down the race.
And he's kicked it over his head to Kennedy. Beautiful kick from Cripps. And Kennedy's marked hard on the boundary. And who would have thought that the full forward would get away from his opponent? Well, obviously the opponent is not used to playing at full back. He was named at full forward, Harris Andrews.
He was, and he's played a sterling game down back. He'd be disappointed he hasn't got on the score sheet, Big Harris. Who has two first names?
Josh Kennedy hasn't kicked a goal tonight, looking to add to his 700 in his wonderful league career. That's a hook across the face to the opposite pocket. Marked by Darling. Fell into his lap.
I reckon that was Ryan.
Ryan flew. Deemed a legitimate attempt to mark, and it cleared the flight path of the Sherrin to hit the chest of Jack Darling straight in front. So he will become the first goal kicker other than Liam Ryan for West Coast tonight. He slots it from 20 metres out directly in front. The Eagles have 4, and the margin to Brisbane is 52 at 12.880 to 4-4-28. Still the Hawks holding the Bombers at bay. Type 1 there, 17 points the diff at Docklands. Hawthorn 11-15-81. Essendon 9-10-64. Matt Primus and Jason Ackermanis.
I think I was very impressed again with Winder. You could see the work rate there. Didn't get the ball in the end. And then Kennedy, I'm pretty sure it hit the inside of his foot, went to the top of the square. But at least they're starting to get some goals on the board. They deserve a few more, West Coast, I must say, for the effort they put in.
Yep, no doubt. It come off his knee, bounced into his waist, then into his belly. So.
It's like Lynchy on a windy day. Just could have gone anywhere. Sorry.
That'll get back to him, you know that.
Oh,
Jace.
he's down on the boundary. Yep. He's looking $1 million as he is the
he looks like
60-year-old.
Been in the James, the big 60-year-old, hasn't he? It's a ball thrown up. McInerney gets it down. Bailey now in the centre of the ground. Handball to Jared Lyons. Tumbling it towards 50. McGovern can't quite take it with the second grab. It's at ground level now. Scrap. And Zorko tries to bob up with it. Bobbed up without it. It's going to be a ball up.
Here's the question with notice, and you've sort of alluded to it, but our Eagles fans will want to know, is this the legitimate response to 100-point hiding at home? Have a thought or two as we go through it, but that's what they wanted to see tonight, Eagles fans.
McInerney toes it towards the square. In fact, it's over the top. It hasn't been touched. The size 26 has scored a goal.
Well, what wasn't he not doing the ruck? He ended up doing the roving.
He roved, he rucked it, he roved it, he kicked it, and it went over the top of the pack and dribbled through for a goal. Big Oscar McInerney, 13-8-86, plays 4-4-28, back to 58 points the margin, Jason Ackermanis.
How tall is Oscar? Do we know? Is he
204 centimetres.
Yeah. Very is the
big boy.
How tall are you, Matty?
200, so he's got
got 4 on you.
Jeez. Look at that ball flow through. Deceived everyone, didn't it?
That's a flour sack.
It had a bit.
He's had a good game.
They're really hard. Yeah, he has had a good game. They're really hard to mark too. So
here's the thing: there's still 7.5 minutes of footy for West Coast to ensure that.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to get to. To now, it seems like it's been somewhat of a response to last week.
I think
they got to tie it off in the next 7 minutes.
They do, but even if they don't, I still think it's there's something to work on here. Saying that, they've got the D's next week, so it doesn't get
good luck.
So that being said, if Brisbane kicked 5 goals in the last 7 minutes, I think that'll sour the taste, and they might just centre clearance, marked by McCluggage, 55 out, bullet inside 50, almost pierces the sternum of Tom Berry, who takes the mark. What a pass.
Brother of Chuck, let me tell you. And that's not easy because he's on the very difficult man to get away from. The greatest defender I think West Coast have ever had.
Well, the thing is, last week was disgrace for West Coast. We're not going to go there, but as far as respectability, they got to finish off here. Yeah. Here goes Tom Berry, 45 out, slight angle to the right, and another goal for Brisbane. His first of the season, and
they're not paying
it's a 64-point lead for Brisbane at 14-8-92 to 4-4-28.
I don't think, Matty, that the Berry family have seen a barber in at least 2 years.
As you say, mate, that's the modern play nowadays, mate.
Oh, my God.
The mullet, the headband.
Really short hair or really long hair.
Yep. I must say, though, it is quite bemusing to hear Jason Ackermanis talking about the differentials in hair.
Yeah,
you did have some of the most striking looks at the time.
Yeah, but I was very consistent. I never had long hair like that. These guys, look at these guys.
Well manicured, different colours.
Should be in South America somewhere. Have a look at them.
I think you've got your Chaz Brownlow trophy hanging over your peroxided bottle.
I do.
From 2001.
The key is, you got to stand out. That's the key.
That's how you get the votes. You had to in his midfield.
Umpire throws it up now. Both ruckmen miss it. That was a throw there from Lockie Neal, not paid by the umpire. Jared Berry goes in. He's tackled immediately into the ground.
But you're right, Q. They were down by 60 points against Richmond after quarter time last week. They were down by 60 at half time against Port, so they've done a lot better. But, yeah, it would be disappointing if it blows out to an 80 or 90-point loss.
Clearance from West Coast here. Petrevski-Seaton there shuffles it onto the logo. Darcy Fort gets down on hands and knees, the big man, but it's intercepted by Jamis. He is in turn tackled by Jared Lyons, and there'll be a ball up on centre wing, Vulture Street side of the ground.
Fort knuckles it clearly away from his opposing ruckman. Jamison went to deck. Bailey kicks it off the ground. A half forward for Brisbane. Cameron let it roll through his legs so Tom Berry could pick it up, and then his hand pass too hot for McCluggage. Went to deck. Picked up, for a moment there by Winder. His hand pass smashed away from him. High tackle. Going to be a free kick to Brisbane here. Well, there, no. Crowd went ooh and ah. My apologies. Rotherham with a fine tackle to knock down McCluggage.
That was high.
Missed that.
Every day of the week.
Wow.
Wowee.
Ball tossed in the air. 50 from Brisbane's goal. Fort got rid of Jamison. Has a snap on goal.
Oh, busted his record.
Went across the face. He's kicked a point.
Oh, he has to.
But he still holds the world record of 12 straight goals to start your career.
Yeah, even though he kicked one out in the full.
Doesn't matter.
It was a stat for the purpose of a stat. And for the purpose of that stat, it's now been buggered up. He's kicked a point.
Oh.
And that's, 65 the diff.
Still holds the record by himself, though.
Yes, one goal clear.
And it bounces on the 50-metre paint. Petrevski-Seaton got more involved as the game comes across, and Andrew Gaff, though, has been under enormous pressure for the Eagles. Got a handball back, and it was Mountford who's on the ground now, got it back to Gaff, but it was a throw, and, there was all sorts of free kicks given away, and McCluggage is going to be the recipient. 55 out, 45-degree angle to the left. He wheels onto his right. He's looking, chips it. And it was just nicely read there in the end by Rotherham, who took a good, strong defensive mark.
A nice mark by him.
Kick to left half back, marked by Redden, who hand passes to Naish. Kick around the boundary line, looking for Winder. Couldn't gather, and it's out of bounds for a throw-in out on the left half back flank. Just by the way, 4-point diff. Hold on. Hawthorn 4 points in front at Docklands. They're trying to claim another goal here, the Bombers.
Half a quarter to go. That's going to be a good game, that one.
Throw in on the outer side. McInerney gets it down. Oh, good tackling effort there from the Eagles, and Redden jumps on top. It gets out to Mountford. He's on a left foot kick towards half forward. Beautifully tapped from Barris over to Darling, the big fella. Lopes to the 50, goes long and kicks a beauty.
No, hits the post.
No, it hits the post at the base.
Jeez, Darling.
14.993 plays 4.5.29. 64 points the margin. Lions leading. 23.5 gone final term. It's Grandstand AFL. Michael Price and Quentin Hull with your experts, Jason Ackermanis and Matthew Primus.
Rich receives a short kick in the back pocket and chips it to Answorth, who marks it at right half back. Noah Answorth just doing his bit to try and hold down a position in this hotly contested Brisbane first 22. Kicks it down the wing. Fort in a 2-on-2 first hand. No mark. Jamison Rose for West Coast. Hot hands. Well, it comes out the side to Cripps, who's tackled by Archie.
He's run hard all day.
And a ball up.
He's played well all day. He has worked hard. Same with Gaff. The midfield hasn't been terribly well beaten, but they have worked hard.
Ruckman go at it. Neither got a telling touch. Falls to the foot of the pack, and Zorko's going to emerge. He just weaves his way through the track. It chips it to McCluggage. 4 goals tonight for Hugh McCluggage. A career high. He's marked out on the wing. Plays on with a hand pass to Archie. Archie hands to Tom Berry. Hands it back to McCluggage, running to 60. Chips it to the pocket. Well played, Rotherham. Got in the front of the leading McCarthy to take a fine defender's mark for West Coast.
Dangerous.
His kick is turned over to Jared Berry. That's the commentator's bad moment as well. We usually do the handover in the back pocket. until they kick it to the opposition. So I'm not going to take this off you, Pricey.
No, you do it, pal. You're in the middle.
Does the turnover constitute still my go?
Your go.
Yeah, we were mid touch and the baton went down.
I can't believe that was
That's a great description, actually. When I dropped the baton there.
Yeah.
Back to you, Sunshine.
Okay.
Well, Berry.
So it's mine for Jared Berry to try and emulate his brother and kick a goal tonight.
Is he going to kick it, Q? What do you reckon?
Yeah, 40 metres out, slight angle to the left. On his right boot, another major for Brisbane, make it 70 points the diff.
Now that concussion obviously wasn't there. He's bounced back, had a good game.
15-9, 99, plays 4-5, 29, 70 the diff. And for those that may have been on breakfast radio in Brisbane on Friday morning and said that 80 was par.
80, yes.
They're getting closer.
Who said that, Q? Was that you?
It might have been.
I think.
Well, did you do a breakfast radio interview this week?
I did, but not what
Somewhere.
you did. What I want to see who it'd be interesting on Brownlow night, Matty, who they're going to give 3-2-1 to, because Brisbane had a lot of good players.
A lot of good players, haven't they? An even spread.
Yes.
You'd have to have a look at, Lockie Neal sneaks up again. 30 touches, 10 clearances, 6 tackles and 5 centre-bounce clearances.
You'd say McGluggies would get the candy on today.
Yep. 25 disposals and 4 goals. Yep. Fairly handy.
Hard to beat that.
Here's a clearance there for Bailey. It's sharked, though, by Kelly for the Eagles. He gives it to Redden. Redden now. Back to Mountford. It goes to Cripps. A flying shot from 45 and he peels it left. One behind. 99 plays 30. 69-point margin. 26.5 gone. Final term. Grandstand AFL as the Lions will bring the ball back in. Not taking a...
Starcevic, I think, has still got the S and the H of the Sharon implanted in his face after he got a kick in the face earlier on. He's okay there. Kicked it long to a pack at right half back.
Yes.
And, well, no mark. Fort Rose for Brisbane. Tries to link by hand with McCarthy. Couldn't pick it up. Adams does. Kicks it into the chop. Won by West Coast. It's Kelly. High kick to attacking 50. Waterman flies. Spoiled away by the defence of Ainsworth. Roved by Coleman of Brisbane. They switch it to full back. Jared Berry marks. Takes it. Kicks it towards left half back. Rotham tangles there with Cameron. Cameron tried to tap it to McCluggage. Couldn't. McCluggage, well, tackled Ryan. Up, let it go. Kicked off the deck towards the wing. Hearn's the only man there. Picks it up for West Coast. Kicks it to Starcevic, who plays for the opposition.
Good second effort too from Charlie Cameron. Second, third and fourth.
Bombers are at the front at Docklands. We will take the Brisbane song and then we will take you to the close of action there and return here for post-game. But very close finish coming up there. Kick down the wing, punched out of play by Barris. We've got a minute left here. There's 7.5 left at Docklands, so we're in the fortunate position we can take you to the ABC call where you are listening to right now. But we will be back once it hits full time at Docklands for the post-game here. We've got a minute to play. 69 is the lead for Brisbane.
I know what you're going to say, Acker.
That is the rule they need to get better at.
From the ruck contest, it was thrown back over the boundary line for another throw in, just forward to centre wing. What happened before is Barris came through in a spoiling effort, but just basically punched it straight into the fifth row. And I think we all agree that's deliberate. There's no intent to keep it in.
So deliberate. It happens too often. They've got to change that rule. I've always hated it.
Throw in again, McInerney. Shallow throw in, gets a hand to it. Mountford curls it around the body. It bounces over the boundary line. The local crowd are looking for... Oh, gee whiz.
That is...
I was about to say the local crowd are looking for deliberate, but surely, to God, no. But there it is. Noah Ainsworth now has the free kick. He's had a very good game too, Ainsworth. 16 disposals and 8 tackles.
Yeah, he's tackled well. He's been real good.
Long kick towards left half forward. Well rove there by Edwards, the big fella, though he's tackled into the ground. Well done to Tom Berry. Much bigger man. Drilled him into the Gabba turf at left half forward.
That punch was more deliberate than that kick that just dribbled there.
McInerney. Good ruck work. Looking for Zorko. It was intercepted by Kelly, and then Zorko introduced him to the Gabba turf. It was picked up. Nice spearing pass to Aish. Tried to find Ryan, but Daniel Rich led him to the ball and then towed it off the deck in the third attempt. Picked up by Lyons. Handball McCluggage. Handball to Bailey. Icing on the cake for the Brisbane Lions as they hit the ton. 16-9, 105 plays 4-6-30, 75 points the margin, 30 minutes gone, final term, Grandstand AFL with Jason Ackermanis and Matty Primus.
I'm glad Bailey got that goal. He has actually worked really hard all night and got into a lot of good spots that hasn't been used at times. So, although what a handball, again, from arguably the guy who's been best on ground in McGluggage. That's a 35-metre handball. I don't know if you ever did 35-metre handballs, Matty, but
I couldn't kick 35, mate, let alone handball. Having their smalls tear them apart in the second half, their small forwards just been too crafty, too clean, too speedy.
Well, they're going to need that if their bigs keep going down at this stage.
Well, that's the story, isn't it? As much as the result is somewhat as expected, Daniel McStay off with an ankle injury, so Eric Hipwood still yet to get back on the park in the VFL. He's not too far away. We had him in the box pre-Easter, said he wasn't too far away from playing footy, but week 1, week 2, 2 pillars down, the last couple. Full-time imminent here, centre bounce. Kelly tries to burst his way through at the stoppage for West Coast. He's deemed holding the ball. And the free kick goes to Lions. Last entry coming up for Brisbane as Lions runs around the man on the mark, kicks it towards full forward. Forts couldn't take the grab on the full-time hooter. And Brisbane has done as expected on a night where West Coast, severely undermanned, has experienced the longest trip in the competition and has been humbled to the tune of 75 points. When you think about two teams at different ends of the competition in 2022, 75 points is perhaps enough of the story for tonight to tell you the difference between the two teams. Brisbane 16-9, 105 to West Coast's 4-6-30. The scoring progression went like this: 15 at quarter time, 29 at half time, 41 at three-quarter time, and 75 in the end for Brisbane, who kicked 6 final quarter goals to West Coast's 1. Career best for Hugh McCluggage, he kicked 4. Charlie Cameron also kicked 4. 2 goals to Rayner and singles to Jared Berry, Thomas Berry, Coleman, Bailey, Payne and McInerney, while for West Coast, Liam Ryan kicked 3 of their 4 goals and Jack Darling kicked the other. Don't go anywhere, we'll get reaction for you at the Gabba from Zane Bojack in the rooms. Also our expert comments from Matthew Primus and Jason Ackermanis. But Essendon's putting on a surge late on at Docklands. Let's take you to the final stages there. There's still 5 minutes of playing time there. And the Bombers, who had 5 late changes, are now 15 points in front of the Hawks as we take you to our team under the roof.
Right half back, loops a handball over the top to Ward. Handballs back to Day, pursued by Wright. Has to get around him. And then chips a kick, a nice one, finds Moore.
Great vision, he can open things up here as well. Moore goes into the middle where Morrison takes it on his chest, forced to kick on his left, shallow entry, Lynch in prime spot, he just built it at the last moment. Bruce comes charging through, knocked away from him, Newcomb big tackle, but not before Hindburst onto it, takes 2 bounces through half back, 3 bounces, almost ran into Impey, drew him in the end, hand pass to Merritt, his kick smothered, lands with Perkins, looks a fortune, snaps from 45 and nails it. And the Bombers fans have gone absolutely crazy. 15-12, 102. Hawthorn, 11-15, 81. They have stopped. The Bombers have pounced.
Well, it's just speed off half-back. The last couple of goals or the last couple of forward entries that they've had, it's been coming off half-back quick, the Bombers, and we haven't seen that from them most of the night, and that's what they've been able to do. Move it off the half-back quickly, come through the corridor, smart ball use. It was a bit lucky there that the ball was smothered and fell into Perkins' hands, and it was open goal square. It was luck of fortunes, but you've got to be able to capitalise, and Perkins did.
Yeah, I was going to be a little bit critical there of not handballing the ball over the top to Devon Smith. But, you know what, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. He put it through and could be the hero kicking the sealer.
6 unanswered goals to Essendon in this final term. 7 of the last 8. From the restart, umpires picked out a throw. It's all going Essendon's way. Shield with the free kick. Just chipped sideways to Cutler. Had Redmond running for him. He chose to ignore it. The numbers flood back.
On the first 3 quarters, Hawthorn actually looked like they were moving the ball quicker by foot and by hand, and even carrying the ball a lot more and a lot better than what Essendon was. And Essendon have just ramped that up in this last quarter.
So Essendon just share it around half-back. You know there's not much time left. Heppel kicks out wide. It's off hands. McDonald handballs to Warple, who handballs to Morrison, goes backwards by hand to Impey, who goes backwards again to McDonald from defensive 50. It's a dangerous kick towards half forward. Newcomb against Shield. Newcomb picks it up. Tackled by Shield. Umpire says holding the ball.
And that's the other thing that Essendon have forced Hawthorn into doing. In that call there, Jess, you said backwards 3 times. You're calling that for Essendon in the first quarter. So Essendon are actually forcing Hawthorn back at the minute.
Shield chips out wide to Cutler, who can almost go the journey if he takes his full 15. He doesn't. He puts it to the top of the square instead. Flyers are there. No mark taken. Day, there's a chop in the arms free kick, and Day takes the advantage anyway. Kicks it end over end. Straight up over halfway. Hind is there, although it's tapped away from him. Bombers a chance again. Good hand pass back to Draper, who had a fumble at the last moment, though he was good enough to regather. Picks it, takes the bounce, gets to 50 and run down. Didn't get his boot to ball, the big man. Good chase by the Hawks.
2 things that Ruckman don't do. Kick across goal and try and take on 5 midfielders and take a bounce.
So Hardwick to Impey, back to Hardwick. That's a wobbly kick off the boot towards half forward. Dropping back in the hole is Heppel. Kicks short to Merritt. Just defensive side of the wing. Content to hold it up. Chip short to McGrath. It's marked on the logo. Dock side of the ground. Chips inboard to Parrish.
They're just kicking the ball 10 metres at the moment.
So Parrish wants to swing it out wide. He has Martin running for him. He's marked at left half forward. Wants an option inside 50 and sees one. It's Ham on the lead.
It was a lovely kick from one side of the ground to the other over to Martin. Hawthorn were expecting the Bombers just to chip it around 15 metres, but one long kick over, open the game right up to Martin, and he's just a really, really smart user with the football.
So weeks of scrutiny has faced Essendon. They had 5 late changes coming into today. Backs against the wall, and Ham from 45 metres out. This one will go across the face.
Free kick to right.
Free kick though to the Bombers. So Peter Wright can put icing on the cake. He'll line up for his 6th goal of the game, 3rd in this final quarter.
Yeah, Frost just panicked, grabbed an arm, dragged him backwards slightly.
We'll have to kick around the corner. He's only 2 metres out from goal, but pretty close to the right behind post. Right for goal number 6. And Essendon will get back on the winners list tonight. The lead's now 27 points, 16-12, 108 Hawthorn, 11-15, 81 as we tick over to 35 minutes played in this final term.
Question without notice, Berkey. 5 changes coming into the side. Do you make those 5 changes next week for the coach?
No, you don't. Possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah.
if you've got yourself a spot in the team and you play well, you know what? You deserve to stay in.
It's going to be interesting, though, like the dilemma that they're going to have at selection. But this effort has been fantastic by the Bombers. Hawthorn have led at every change, and now the Bombers are going to lead at the change that matters, which is the last quarter.
Hugs on the bench already from the Bombers. Draper down. Caldwell tackled. Umpire says, I'll have it.
And the Hawthorn really, they need to address these late game fade outs. It's cost them a lot so far this year.
Siren goes. Essendon fans can't believe what they have seen. Rutten's replacements have delivered a precious 4 points.
Up to win the premiership story there with Essendon having 5 changes today and coming from almost 4 goals down halfway through the final term. Full time at Docklands. Thanks to Andrew Mays, Jess Webster and our team there to bring the last few phases of that to us. Essendon 16-12-108 to Hawthorn 11-15-81. Here at the Gabba, the Lions by 75, and they're singing the song of the rooms. Not quite the gusto that we had at the emotion of Docklands at the end of that game. But Brisbane winning by 75 points, 16-9, 105 to West Coast, 4-6-30. Quentin Hull, Michael Price, Jason Ackermanis and Matthew Primus to run you through it, and Zane Bojack down in the rooms. Well, we had the quick exit after the siren here. The Lions players went and handed some flowers around for Mother's Day tomorrow. One of our regulars, Jess Stewart, she was down watching the game with her mum tonight and used her influence to drag Cam Rayner over to give a bouquet of flowers to Madonna. So happy Mother's Day to you, Madonna. But what do we make of it? Let's start with the Eagles, because I think they're the story outside of Dan McStay's injury, which we'll get to.
Well, the story was they had a game plan to come and play against Brisbane. They had a game plan to come and play against Brisbane, was just put numbers between the arcs, put numbers in their back 50 and just try and slow Brisbane, make sure they didn't lose by 100 points, which, apart from the last 15 minutes, they were competitive, hanging in the game, made it very difficult for them to score. So that's good for 1 week. It's a response after 2 weeks, but you can't continue to play like that. And as we mentioned, they've got the D's next week, so there's a lot of stuff going wrong there. They've had an injury history as long as your arm since pre-season, and they just haven't been able to get over that. Then you add the COVID stuff that's going crazy over in WA, so it's the double whammy of them, and then you get their neighbours in a 2-team footy town. When one team's flying and the other team's not, it's a difficult place to live when you're not going that way. So there's some headaches and some big headaches coming for them for the rest of the year, let alone next week. But and Brisbane just worked their way through it. When the team plays as defensive and numbers around the ball and puts a lot of pressure on all those sorts of things, it is hard to play against them, and it's not fluid football as we've seen Brisbane this year. But they worked their way through it in the second half. They certainly started to open them up and be a bit more efficient when they went inside 50. And in the end, if you had to say at the start of the game they'd win by 70, 80 points, you'd take that.
We'll hold on that, Matt, because we can go into the Brisbane Lions room. Zane Bojack.
Yeah, I'm down here with you, McCluggey. It's you, mate. First time you've been able to kick 4 goals in a game, and they really held on to you for a little while there, didn't you? You're finally able to break away last 2 quarters?
Yeah, they came out really well. It was a tough game, a little bit slippery out there, so we knew it was going to be a bit of a slog, but we were able to grind it out and probably open up a little bit in the second half.
And you came into the match without Joe Danaher, and then you lose Dan McStay midway through that first quarter as well. So how did your forward line sort of structure up then? Did you feel like you stand up to the offensive threat?
Yeah, it's tough when you lose key forward early. It happened to us a couple of times last year, and we weren't able to deal with it. But this year, I think Cam Rayner went forward and was able to compete really strongly in the air, and he's been a great presence for us down there. So it was good to see him go really well, and we're just sharing the load this year. And it's unfortunate we lost Macca. Hopefully he's back soon, but we've just got to find other ways to get it done.
All right, well, I'll throw you up to the panel. We've got Quentin Hull, we've got Matthew Primus, we've got Jason McManus and Michael Price who are going to chat to you.
Great game again. You've been very consistent this year, Hugh. I just sort of want to ask you, you're having Zorks down back now, he goes in the midfield. Have you found that? Because your game seems to, as a group is getting better and better. Your midfield is so strong at the moment. And the way you're playing, you actually, we always say that we love you kicking on the run because, your set shots, we love them to be even more accurate. But you've had such a good game. How is Zorks coming up? Has that made any difference? Are you happy with where it's at?
Yeah, well, obviously Zorks is an amazing midfielder. He's one of the best players we've ever played with. For him to go back and play as well as he did and then be able to come back in the midfield and offer a lot as well is great. And I think we have a lot of impact players in our midfield, and we just share the load. If one player's not playing well, then one or two others tend to step up. And then when you've got Zorks and Lockie and JL in there, it's great to learn off them and play alongside them.
How'd you go with when you're playing a side that's not going well, like the West Coast Eagles, who have been a great team for a long time and got talent, all that sort of stuff, and had a pretty tough start to the year? What did Fague say this week, and what was the real message? Because it really is difficult to come and play a team that's really not playing overly well.
Yeah, well, we looked at their side, and they've still got a fair few players who have played some really good footy in their careers and were part of that 2018 Premiership team. So we knew that they were still going to be a tough outfit to play against, and we actually took a fair bit of ownership, us players, this week in planning for the game and planning, talking about what we do really well and how we're going to win rather than West Coast too much, because there was so much uncertainty with who they were going to bring and who they were going to play. So for us to be able to do that, it's a great growth for us.
Hugh, it's Quentin Hull here. Can you explain how your role's been tweaked this year?
Yeah, so probably previous years I've played maybe 60-70% wing and then just pinch hit as an inside player, and this year I'm probably playing maybe 50-60% inside and a bit forward as well. So I'm enjoying it. It's completely different. You play on a lot of different players and it's a different challenge, but I'm slowly getting used to it, and it's been quite refreshing. What's
the biggest challenge in that role, Hugh? Is it the physical hits of going inside or something else?
Yeah, it's probably the repeat efforts and also the players you play on. You're out in a wing, you usually play on one or two players in it for a whole game, whereas in the midfield you've got different guys spinning through there. You've got some of the best players in the game going through there. And yeah, it's a 360 game in there. You've got bodies coming from all directions, whereas when you're playing on a wing, you usually sort of got it all in front of you. You're behind the stoppage, and you also do a lot of running up and down the side of the ground, so there's just not quite as much happening.
What about you, Akka? You know what it's like, sort of spending a bit of time in the engine room and playing on the fringes. Give Hugh some suggestions here.
I'm pretty sure he's doing a good enough job. I mean, it's just more you're winning your own ball, and it can be a little bit disconcerting out on the wing sometimes. You feel like some games the ball's always over the other side, you're not in the action, and so to get more time in the midfield, as in the guts, is always a progression. I'm glad they're giving him that role because he's so good at it. I just got one question.
Yeah.
Hugh, tomorrow, mate, before we get to next week, we've got a big couple of games coming up. Mother's Day, you got anything planned? Because we love our mums. We'd be nowhere without them.
Yeah, I'll probably send a gift down to Victoria there. She's back at home, so I won't get to see Mum, but yeah, I'll get something planned and spoil her rotten.
A bit of housekeeping. Can you see Dan McStay around? Have you heard how he's going?
No, I haven't seen him. I haven't heard anything either. He came off with a bit of pain, but fingers crossed he'll be all right because he's been in awesome form.
And what is it about Cam Rayner that you see behind the scenes that we're now starting to see a couple of months into his return from his knee?
Yeah, I think his personality translates onto the field. He's so bubbly, so up and about all the time. Even when he was going through his knee rehab, he always had a smile on his face, and you can see the way he plays the game. He just enjoys it, launches at the footy, plays on instinct, and really starting to see the reward of the effort he's put in, the fitness work he's put in, and it's great to see him playing a variety of different roles and kicking goals as well.
Will this mean, Hugh, that Eric is going to be in the frame a little bit earlier than expected, you think?
Yeah, hopefully. I think he could be a chance for next week, whether that be through the VFL or AFL, I'm not too sure, but he's training really well, running really well, and we're looking forward to having him back too.
Well, what a game it was, and arguably the best game for the year for yourself. And it's good to see you get rewarded. Not only did you kick 4, you had 10 tackles, and you gave a couple off too. If it's 3 Brownlow votes it is, and you deserve it. What a fantastic effort, mate.
Thanks very much. Thanks, guys.
Good on you, Hugh. Hugh McCluggage joining us from the Brisbane rooms.
Bit loud down there, isn't it? Yeah, they're party.
Oh, well, you know what it's like.
It's just drinking your own bathwater a bit, isn't it?
Won't be as loud as the Bombers room would have been, mate. Hey? Oh, wow.
Yeah, final score there, Essendon 16-12, 108. Steamrolling Hawthorn in the end. The Hawks 11-15, 81. A bit of other housekeeping in the late finishing NRL game tonight. A win for the North Queensland Cowboys over the Newcastle Knights. They won that by 36 points to 16. So joining the Roosters and Manly as winners on this Saturday of the NRL. And the Crusaders have beaten the Force in Super Rugby Pacific. Crusaders 53 over the Force 15. Earlier tonight, Brumbies beat the Chiefs in New Zealand 38-28, and the Tars beat Moana Pacifica 26 points to 20. So Matt, let's go into your sort of knowledge of coaching and what does Adam Simpson and West Coast focus on now?
Oh, I'm just watching the West Coast coaches walk across the oval here.
Dejected lot.
There's a heart. Really, for me, it's the year's gone. Per se. So it has to be a rebuild. And let's start seeing some of these young guys that have been given a go because of injury list and a bit of COVID. Let's start seeing what you've got on your list. Because we know what their top players give them. Let's go, and they've been pretty good the last few years without delving into their list. So let's see what they've got on their bottom end of the list, which gives them an idea towards the end of the year. A lot of their best players are at the end or getting very close to the end. So for me, it's a bit of a rebuild, but that's always a hard thing when you're a big club, and they're as big a club as anyone in the AFL, to say, okay, we're going to start a rebuild. Now, what that looks like, whether they just go hard in free agency or back to the draft or whatever that looks like, but
you can't come back from this.
No, you can't.
Just free agency. You have to go back to the draft to get the youth back in, Matty. Surely
you have to. I read somewhere
which top end are expendable though, mate.
They have to go back to the draft big time, and I think it's a destination club still. So there'll be a lot of WA players in Victoria, but it's going to take some time. But they've been up there for a hell of a long time, and they'll be having a good look at why their injury list has been so big. As I said, it's been like that since the pre-season games, and they haven't been able to recover at all. So something's gone amiss there in their pre-season with the amount of guys out injured. So it's a long way back for them, but it's the first time for a long time they've been like that. So, every club goes through that.
I like what I see, though, from Winder.
Yeah, there was.
You've got Axel Foley, Rotham. These guys have got some go, and they're going to get some time. Florenka.
Yep.
I mean, what a good first game.
But he's not even on the list.
I know, which is staggering.
For that.
He's playing AFL game, but he's sitting somewhere and not on a list.
Had 19 disposals.
He's come out here, a million miles away and played a pretty good game, and his defensive pressure was good.
It'll be interesting to see, Akers. It'll be interesting to see what the clubs say, in the next couple of weeks, because you just can't keep bumbling along, because you can see they're going to get smacked next week by Melbourne, who are flying the bee's knees. So there's going to have to be some kind of direction soon come out from them.
Well, you'd have to say that, okay, your first cab off the rank, Josh Kennedy, he's looking like he might be pulling the pin at the end of the year. So that's... they're obviously hoping that Oscar Allen overcomes injuries and steps into that breach. So they've got ready-made replacements or some ready-made replacements that are there, but I can still see, like the Jack Reddens of the world aren't going to be taking them most forward, and your Andrew Gaffs for several years. Is there any value in getting something out of this list for trade to express that rebuild and get the youth involved? Because what they've got youth-wise here, it's a little thin, but there is some quality there.
Yeah, there is, and it can turn quickly. We've just seen clubs do it, and they'll be able to do that, but it's more just how they've ended up in this spot. It's just happened so quickly.
Well, that's the thing. You see a forward line where Oscar Allen's the target and you've got Liam Ryan second up. Well, there's a start, isn't it? But, of course...
Not bad.
And you've got Nick Nat back doing his
Nick
thing.
Nat's like 38. Something like that, and
his knees are 38.
More injury prone. So
I think there's so many gaps in that whole list. They'll be sitting down. I tell you, they're flying home. They'll be thinking and talking about exactly this. They should be, because they're like, well, which way are we going to go? We're going to get beaten. Okay, well, let's just keep rolling out the kids, Let's just try and, if they have a smaller forward line, do we want to go a more deep in the midfield? Do we want to get our defence right? Because they've got older players who are stars,
yes,
but they're nearly finished at both ends, and not as many in the midfield. So they've got problems, I think, at the extremities as opposed to the middle, where you do have a bit of talent.
If you've just tuned in, final score at the Gabba, Brisbane 16 goals 9, 105 over West Coast's 4-6-30. Go through the stats in a moment, and we'll get the 3, 2 and 1 votes from Matt Primus and Jason Ackermanis for the Grandstand AFL Player of the Year. Essendon, that was an 8-2 to 1-2 final term for the Bombers to beat the Hawks 16-12, 108 to 11-15. 81.
You could do that at Etihad. What do they call it now? Marvel Stadium?
Yep.
Docklands, we call it.
Docklands.
We always call it Docklands.
It's just one of those stadiums you can score quickly there.
And score. What a way to get the monkey off the back for Essendon, eh? 8 goals to 1.
Here are the numbers for Brisbane. Neil with 29, Rich 28, Zorko 26, McCluggage 26, Lyons 22, should I say, Bailey 21, 19 for Adam Starcevic and Archie. For West Coast, Redden led the way with 29, Hearn 27, Kelly 22, Jones 21, West 21, McGovern 21, Gaff 21. And special mention, Florenka, not on a list, coming in, playing your first game of AFL, 19 disposals in the longest road trip on the back of a 12-goal hiding. That is something to hang your head on. That's a really creditable performance for Jake Florenka of South Fremantle.
Yep. Well done, mate.
4 clearances and 7 tackles involved there as well. So, as you said, Acker, his defensive pressure was good.
Yeah, he's playing against men. 3, 2, 1. What are we doing?
Hold on. I'll just give the overriding stats. Plus 10 in the disposals for Brisbane. The contested possessions, Brisbane won that in the end by 23. Marks, Brisbane plus 5. Clearances, Brisbane plus 1.
That's pretty tight.
Tackles, Brisbane plus 10. Inside 50s, Brisbane plus 35. 75 is a really kind margin when you think that Brisbane went inside 68 to 33 times.
Yep.
So the biggest disparity in the stats is the inside 50, 68 to 33, and the metres gained. Brisbane gained 1.5 kilometres more ground than West Coast Eagle did. So 5,400 to 4,000. So
of that forward 50, by the way, this is the chance to finally whack them and send the message to the AFL. You cannot let clubs treat team lists like a joke. Harris Andrews was named at full forward, was nowhere near there. Now, it's incumbent on AFL House, if they want the message to the fans to be believable. We know that things happen. I mean, Acker, I don't think Lee's ever forgiven you for telling us all about Nigel Lappin's bung ribs before the 2003.
Do you remember that betting plunge that was on Daniel Merritt?
Oh, yeah, well, there's those. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, this is team list, the official communique of the club to the fans as to who's playing. And, look, if a half-back flanker happens to spend more time in the midfield, we can cop that. But as fans, we will not cop being taken as fools. Harris Andrews went nowhere near full forward last night.
No one's going to believe it.
And it's absolutely disrespectful of the club to do that if they didn't intend to put him there. And it's incumbent on the AFL to whack the Lions for it. That is treating team lists with disrespect.
What do they get a fine?
And in the modern day and age of football, you wouldn't cop that in the Farah League in Southern Riverina. Are you going to accept it at the AFL? Over to you, Brad Scott, and your team. If it's Brad's team, I don't know who. But that is just taken the mick. And we're better than that. And the Lions should be better than that. It's just disrespectful. If you were never going to play him there, why name him at full forward?
Integrity. It's all gone out the window. You can't do that. I think Fags, to his credit, he's never really been like that. This is the first time I've seen him.
Why? Why?
Yeah, I'm doing something wrong here.
This week was a bit different with the team list because West Coast was delayed, but there was a moment among match committee where someone thought, we're going to release Harris Andrews playing at full forward. It's just disrespectful to the football community.
Well, what would he have done? What would he have done if he had started full forward?
Well, that's fine. That is fine. But you know what it is? If a back pocket runs in the midfield or something, but a guy that has kicked 1 goal in his last 67 games,
he is the
and
All-Australian
is a 2-time All-Australian fullback.
That's ridiculous.
It is just, there is no other. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Hang on.
How can
Zano.
How can we see?
Q.
How can we see that as anything but the Lions treating us with disdain?
Well, I don't mean to make light of it, mate, but we honestly support you in this, and I think Lions, you're better than that. You've got to be better than that. This is the best game in the country, if not the world. And you got to be better than that.
No, that's crap. It is crap.
Simple as that.
They won't do that. If it gets back to Fags, and I'm sure it will.
Oh, he won't do that again.
He's too smart for that. I mean, he's got too much respect for the game, Fags.
Actually, you know what? You can see that. It comes out of every pore. So that's why I think we're so surprised.
Strange. Very strange.
I suppose surprised indeed. But we're with you, Q.
3, 2, 1. Do you want to do that? I've got my thoughts. What do you reckon?
Well, I think we know who 3 is. We've all interviewed him.
When you mark up your long run all the way back to the side screen and you've got 5 minutes of airtime left, there's no way I'm running in and not bowling the ball.
It was a longer run up than that.
I think you had the kilometre
down an Ultra Street,
like an airline taking off.
I'm just sick of
it's
there's cloak and dagger.
That's
the good. Yep. Cloak and dagger is good in football,
but that looks
lying is not.
That just looks stupid.
It actually didn't look stupid. It looked arrogant. That's what it looked like.
There we go. We're getting into the right territory.
I'm just going to say it straight up.
How
It looked
many more
arrogant.
adjectives can we get out? That's very true. Very true.
Well, I do. We call a spade, but I think it's been noted. It will be noted, and I don't think that'll happen again.
I don't think it'll happen again. I reckon it would have been hard to get the 2 and the 1 voted tonight.
Well, to Lockie Neal, not just because he got 29 or 30, but I just thought he was clean. He was clean and some beautiful craft stuff at his stoppage work. He works hard outside it, did some nice inside.
So Neal got the ones?
2 for Neal, 3 for McCluggage, and 1. Lots of guys could have got 1, but I thought when the Brizzy were struggling with their efficiency in the first half, I thought Cameron's ability to hit the scoreboard off not many possessions, but 4 goals, 1.
That's exactly what I would have said.
There we go. Great minds, Acker.
Yes.
1 for Cameron there. So 3 McCluggage, 2 Neal, 1 for Cameron.
But I also think that, when you're a coach and been a coach, you value that so much. Like the inability and the lack of ball you may get as a forward to what you actually produce. His performance is the 3rd best on the good. Could have been 2nd. It was that good.
Yep.
I mean, half his shots on goal were goals. And then he had 1 point out of 9 touches.
Fantastic insight. That shows you. He's only had 10 possessions, Charlie Cameron, but he kicked those goals in the deciding part of the game. He kicked 4 of the first 7 goals in the game. So 3 to McCluggage, 2 to Neal, 1 to Cameron.
When I coached,
thanks for your time. I've got to wrap up.
Right.
Acker, I've got to.
One.
Okay,
it's great. Great story.
Well, next time that we're on, you can tell us another yarn. Thanks for your company.
No problem, Q.
Matt, thank you.
Thanks, Q.
Good on you, Pricey.
Good on you, Q.
Happy birthday, Pricey.
Happy birthday,
84th birthday.
I'm looking good for that age.
Thanks to Zane on the boundary, Aussie on the faders here, and Luke back in the studio. Brisbane 16-9, 105. They've got Adelaide next week at Adelaide Oval. West Coast 4-6-30. 75 points the diff. Eagles have got the reigning premier on the deck where they won the flag last year next week. And a big night for the Bombers as well, kicking 8 goals in the final quarter to win by 27 points at Docklands. That's Saturday footy on Grandstand AFL. Hope to have your company tomorrow. McInerney on the wing, kicks towards half forward for Brisbane, through the pack, roved out the back by Rayner on the left boot. A dribbler is a wonderful start for Brisbane. Rayner with the first after 90 seconds.
Darcy Fort pushes the ruckman out of the way, toes it forward now to the top of the square. McGovern gets rid of his opponent. Cameron roving, back standing start to Hugh McCluggage, top of the square, floating it through for a goal.
McStain's not looking good at all. He's really in a lot of pain down here. I think this could be a very serious ankle injury for the big forward. They've ripped the strapping off, but he looks resigned to a few weeks on the sideline, the poor fella.
Gathered by Payne on the bounce, hand pass to Zorko, chip to space, Cameron gets there, presents and marks. 40 metres out, Cameron likes that off the boot. And there's that confident spring in his step to realise he's got 2 straights for the night.
Pops it up to the top of the square, the big fly there from Rayner, and waiting down Jack Payne, dribbles at the big fella, and that is his first goal in AFL footy. Gets the Lions 6, Rayner. He's under a hell of a lot of pressure too, he can't quite pick it up, so he decides to barrel back in. get it and give it to Rich. Then to Lincoln McCarthy, who lowers the eyes and hits Charlie Cameron 40 metres out. Charlie Cameron with a couple of goals to start the second quarter. He's got 3 all up. Gets under this one. It's straight as the die for 4 for Charlie Cameron.
Hands it to West, running across 50, hands it back to Kelly, 52 out, drops it on his boot and hits the chest of Ryan, leading and marking. 1 goal through the best part of 2.5 quarters, but a chance for 2 goals in the space of a minute as Liam Ryan lines up for his third to narrow the margin to 29 points. Man of his class should kick the goal, and he does. Ryan's got 3, and the Eagles are finding something in the third term here at the Gabba. Low ball gathered by Zorko. He along the turf, a skimmer, picked up by Payne on 50. Hand pass infield to McCluggage. Tight angle, 40 out. Finish of class from Hugh McCluggage for his second of the night.
McCarthy handballs it into space. Payne can't pick it up. McCluggage can, has a snap and has kicked 3. Sharp kick to the top of the square. Big fly and at the back. Oh, here he is again. McCluggage. 4 goals and 4 beautiful pieces of roving. Daniel Rich led him to the ball and then towed it off the deck in the third attempt. Picked up by Lyons. Handball McCluggage. Handball to Bailey. Icing on the cake for the Brisbane Lions as they hit the ton.
And Brisbane has done as expected on a night where West Coast, severely undermanned, has experienced the longest trip in the competition and has been humbled to the tune of 75 points.